I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
All right, man. Tonight's going to be a good one. I've been wanting to do this for a hot minute now. So tonight we have on Dr. Turtleboy. How you doing today, man?
Good, thanks for having me, brother.
Oh yeah, man. I've been wanting to set this up for a while, but when I was like, well, when the trial, it comes up at a certain point, we'll have Dr. Turtleboy on. We'll talk to him about some stuff, and then the world just seemed like it blew up around you, man. It was
a wild ride. It's been a wild ride the last 15 months or so, for sure.
And Megan Fox, of course, is here, co-host. How are you doing today, Megan?
I'm all right. Broadcasting live from from the temporary studio that I had to get crammed into. I think it's working out okay.
Yeah, it looks good. I like it. It's brand new.
Everything seems to be working. I have one thing that happened, though. I have found there are 2 cords that I didn't get hooked up to something, and I don't know what they go to.
So you just have some random cords hanging out?
Yes. Let's hope it was nothing important.
You're like, oh, well, they're live. I might get electrocuted, but I'm okay.
It's 2 cords. I don't know what goes to what. I don't know.
I've been looking forward to this, though, man. So I wanted to ask you, when I'm doing it, I want to make this clear to anybody listening, and props to everybody here, by the way. You could watch the trial. The trial's out there. We may get some opinions on the trial, but I'm more interested in Dr. Turtleboy, how you got involved in this, and really the backlash has been absolutely crazy to watch. I'm not talking about just people backlash. I'm talking about system backlash you've had. So what really got you interested in this, man? Well,
I've been writing investigative stories for like the last decade. I used to be a high school teacher before that. And, I've broken a lot of big stories in the New England area, but this one got my attention particularly. I remember what first happened in January of 2022. It was all over the news. Whenever a cop gets killed, it's kind of big news. But I didn't really have like a take on it because it was framed as an accident. Like this woman accidentally hit her boyfriend. And so it's just like, well, that sucks. It sucks for everybody. It sucks for him. It sucks for his family. It sucks for her living with that, I'm staying away from that story. I have nothing to say about that. And I forgot about it. I forgot about the name Karen Reed. Couldn't even tell you her name other than she was the woman from Fidelity who hit her boyfriend, the Boston cop. That's all I remembered about it. And so all of a sudden in mid-April of 2023, I saw on NBC 10 Boston a story about something about a Google search that involved in the Reed case. And so I clicked on it, and it said that this woman inside the house where Karen Reed had dropped her cop boyfriend John O'Keefe off at had Googled how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. and deleted the search. And that's pretty dastardly because the idea of the story that was in the media was that this woman ran him over with a car and left him there to die in the cold. So why would somebody inside the house that he didn't go inside, allegedly, why would they Google how long to die in cold? And so that caught my attention, and a lot of people started messaging me about it. And one guy is a former Duxbury cop. Duxbury is a town in the South Shore. And John O'Keefe used to be a cop there. And he said, I knew John. And, this case, I support police, but this case doesn't smell right. This home is owned by a Boston cop named Brian Albert. He's shady. A lot of Boston cops don't like him. He's got a history of violence and just being an all-around douchebag. And something doesn't smell right. I think this woman's innocent. And so I went down the rabbit hole and I read all the court filings, and there was a lot. I mean, there's a lot on this docket. And, I go into it with an open mind thinking, like, it seems like a long shot that they could get away with what was being alleged, some sort of conspiracy and cover up of a murder of a cop. But the more you dug into this and the more you read it, you're like, wow, this really happened. These people have receipts for this stuff. This isn't like some crazy theory that people can't prove. Like, this is all documented. They have phone records. They have Apple Health data. They have a variety of information. And most importantly, the autopsy photos, which John O'Keefe, you just look at the autopsy photos, you're like, that dude was not run over by a car. Like, a child can see that. And so I kind of just, and then it hits you. And you're like, wait a minute. If this woman didn't do this, that means that he was killed in that house. And then they just dump him where she was last seen and blame her. And make sure you have a friendly cop named Michael Proctor, who's the lead detective, and he'll help cover it up for you. And it's really not that hard. Like, people are saying, how could this many people be in on a conspiracy? It's not that many people. It's like 5 people. And then after that, it's just a bunch of people who trust the system. That's all this is. Like, the majority of the naysayers look at this, and their number one reaction and their number one reason why this couldn't possibly be is they say, well, how can that many people be involved in a conspiracy? And it's not. It's just like 5 or 6 people who are all family members, who have all known each other for a long time, who were probably thinking that this woman would just plead to manslaughter and get like 6 months in jail or something like that. And then they'd all live happily ever after. But it's obviously gone. They messed with the wrong woman. They messed with a woman who obviously is going to fight for her life and is well-resourced and smart, but was really kind of like alone. Like, no one was going to her court dates before I got involved. The McAlberts all were. All the supporters of the other side were jamming the courtroom. Karen Reed was coming in all sad, looking all pathetic, at her indictment. She looked raggedy. And, but now, ever since I started getting involved, like, starting last May was the first time I went to one of her court dates. And then the McAlberts just stopped coming because I rolled deep. Like, we got a lot of people out there. We were protesting on the courthouse steps, and we vastly outnumber them now. And every time, Karen Reed has a court hearing, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people outside the courthouse protesting for justice and just making noise that we want. We're not going to allow the government to frame an innocent person for murder and cover up the murder of a Boston police officer. Not going to happen.
How long did it take you to, you're talking about the process here. How long did it take you to come to the conclusion of, wait a minute, there's a real problem here, from when you started? Because I've looked through court cases, and, that moment of clarity or realization when you're like, man, something is really wrong here. Like, again, how much time did you spend coming to that conclusion?
I mean, a few hours. This is that first night. The first night looking over on April 17th, 2023, reading over Alan Jackson's 92-page affidavit, which included police reports, it included Apple Health data, it included cell phone records, everything. And that man brought receipts. Like, he brought everything. And it just hit me that there's only 2 ways John O'Keefe was killed. Either Karen Reed did it or he was killed inside the house. There's no alternative solution in which a gang of young thugs walked by and beat the bag out of him in the middle of Canton during the blizzard at 1 a.m. That didn't happen. He didn't get eaten by a pack of wolves. There's only 2 options. And if Karen Reed didn't do it, then by default, this horrible, horrific scenario happened inside the house. And I'm telling you, once it hits you, like it did with me on that first day, you're like, holy shit.
No, I agree. But what about, was it Colin? The one with the knuckles that were all bruised up?
Yeah, that's Colin.
Is that Colin?
Amen.
All right. So his story is that he slipped on the ice. This is what kind of did it for me. He slipped on the ice and he landed like this, fist down. I'm sorry, but I'm a human being. I've slipped on ice a lot of times. I've fallen down. I've tripped and fallen a lot of times. Never once in my whole damn life has my hand made a fist and like this. Like, you put your hands out like this. That's how everybody falls. Your hands go out like this. The mark should have been here, not here, where you would punch somebody.
You land like this.
You land like this. That's why there's wrist guards, that have the thing right here, so that because that's how people fall. What was there? It's amazing to me that people just bought that. First of all,
nobody bought it. I mean, it's like Alan Jackson when he was asking him that question. So let me get this straight. So you fell, and during your fall, to brace yourself, you put your hands in a knuckle, and then you stuck your knuckle down, and you exclusively cut yourself right at the tip. And he goes, "Yup." And
but there are people who do believe this. Aiden,
who believes
they're
that?
all over my comments. They're all over my comments. When I was posting about the Karen Read trial, and I didn't watch every single second, but I watched enough of it to know, holy crap. I mean, these people are lying. It's very clear that these people are lying. They all had a case of, I think Jeff Legal Vices called it Camden amnesia. When they would get on the stand, they can't recall this or that. Liars all. Also, the thing about, here was something else I wanted to ask you. What was it? The dog.
Yeah.
So has the defense ever gotten evidence of proof of life for Chloe? That's what I want to know.
No one has. There's no evidence at all that Chloe's alive. They claim, and I wish the defense grilled them more about this. When Nicole Albert was on the stand, she said that Chloe was just giving away a rehome to somebody in Vermont. And I guess
some farm in Vermont.
If I would have asked, I would have said, what town? Can you tell me what town? Like, it's a state. I know it's a small state, but it's like a lot of towns there. Can you narrow it down? I would have found some question to trip her up on, because they always
the state claimed that they gave that information to the defense. And the defense was like, no, we never got it. So why didn't they push that? I'm wondering, like, no, turn it over now. Let's go and do proof of life. Make sure she's not buried in the cement in the filled-in pool. Like, what, you filled in the pool? Like, what's under there? I think the dog is in the pool.
Yeah, some people think that. I don't know if the dog's in the pool. I don't think they'd be dumb enough to put the dog in the pool. I mean, the dog, that pool was on Main Street, across the street from the police station too. They were filling it in, like, it was crazy. Like, when I went by there, I'm like, what? They're filling in the pool? That's wild.
Then why would they fill it in? Why would they fill it
in?
They
said the pool, they didn't want to use the pool anymore. About a week and a half after they were accused in court in October of 2022 of being complicit in this murder, they decided, the pool, screw the pool. The dog, see you later, dog. The home that we've had.
See you later, basement.
See you later. We don't want any of this stuff anymore. We're just going to give it all away. And there's nothing suspicious about this whatsoever. And if you think there is, then you're the conspiracy theorist. That's wild to me, is that, like, we believe in the most obvious, rational, explainable scenario in which John O'Keefe was killed. And they call us conspiracy theorists. Mm-hmm. You look at the hoops that you have to jump through in order to explain John's injuries, make you sound like every conspiracy theorist lunatic that they paint us to be. Like, bro, like, seriously.
When you were looking at this, you have this revelation. You're like, oh my God, did it ever dawn on you that, wait a minute, if I'm going out here and I'm saying that Karen Read is innocent, I'm taking on this system. I'm taking on police.
Yeah.
Cops.
Well,
you live there.
I do. But, and I've got a good, like, I've never had issues with the police. I was a back the blue guy traditionally, especially during the BLM riots. I was pretty good to the police. But with this one, and a lot of cops do agree with me on this one. Like, I still have a lot of friends that are cops, and they all think that Karen Read is innocent. Everybody thinks that Karen Read's innocent that looks at it objectively. I thought when I wrote about it that this was going to be a one and done story, that, like, tomorrow or the day after that, the Commonwealth is going to drop these charges because they can't go forward with this. They can't bring this to trial, surely, because that would be a circus and they would just embarrass themselves. But they doubled down. And then they said the Google search wasn't real. And I'm like, oh my God. And then they said the Apple Health data showing John ascending and descending 3 flights of stairs was caused by a hilly road. And I'm like, dude, these people, like, what?
But still, you would think that would do it, that would make a jury go, absolutely not. But that's not what happened.
No.
There was a hung jury. So
not
somehow
on 2 of the charges.
Right, but which of course we didn't. The judge didn't ask them to, didn't poll them. So I don't even know what's going to happen with that. I know that they've asked for a dismissal. She hasn't ruled on that as far as I know. Has she?
There's a hearing next Friday, so we'll be at the courthouse next Friday dealing with that.
Okay. It's incredible to me that anybody on a jury listened to those facts and thought she was guilty. I saw as clear as day. You know that video of her backing up and hitting John's car or whoever's car with the tail light that was cracked?
Mm-hmm.
You can see that car move when she hits it. It's so clear. And the judge is going, I don't see it move. And I don't see it move. What?
The judge?
She did. She said something like, I didn't see that. And it was like, what? How do you not see it? They went back and replayed it.
There was like an audible gasp in the courtroom when that happened. It was like, because it clearly moves. I mean, everybody can see it. Clearly moves. Then Lally tried saying that, oh, well, the snow didn't fall off the car. Therefore, it couldn't possibly have been it because snow didn't fall off. It's just like, bro, we saw the tire. It moved. Like, our eyes aren't lying to us. And again, they call us conspiracy theorists. We see the tire move and they're like, no, you didn't actually see that. That's not what actually happened. Stop listening to your eyes, people. You're a conspiracy theorist. Don't do that. So I thought this would be dropped. But the moment that they decided to continue and double down on this, that's when I realized this story was much bigger than I thought it was. Because I'm like, oh, they're even with this horrible publicity, they're still going to go forward with this. Holy shit. And then I realized how really committed they were to this on October 11th when I got jammed up and I got arrested by the State Police Fugitive Unit at my kid's bus stop. That's when I'm like, oh, wow, these guys are going to see this. These guys want to dance. Okay, let's go.
Now, they arrested you for what was it? Witness intimidation?
That's right. Bunch of, I forget how many counts, a whole bunch. Felony witness intimidation, some picketing. Like in my arrest video, they're like, I'm like, what is the charge? And they're like, picketing. I'm like, picketing in the United States of America is against what picketing? What, like, am I being punked? Picketing. And then
is conspiracy. That really a crime? Is that
apparently really a crime? In Massachusetts, you can't picket a witness. So there's witnesses and then there's regular civilians. So regular civilians have, like, you have First Amendment rights around regular civilians. But if you're a quote unquote witness in Massachusetts, which includes a witness in a trial, a potential witness in a trial, a family member of a witness, like Michael Proctor's wife, who I'm being charged with intimidating, or anybody who announces that they plan on attending a court proceeding, you do not have First Amendment rights with them, according to the witness intimidation statute. You cannot cause that. You cannot threaten to cause physical, emotional, or financial harm to them. Now, physical, I get. Like, you can't go around threatening to kick the shit out of witnesses. I get that.
Sure.
I've never done that. No one's alleging I've done that. They're all alleging emotional harm. Like, they're saying, like, I have the bill of particulars that we just got on this today explaining what I did to Jennifer McCabe. And the exact quote that I'll read it to you. It says in here that Jennifer McCabe, the Commonwealth, let's see, as a result of Kearney's campaign of harassment and intimidation, as described above, Jennifer McCabe was upset, embarrassed, and angry and concerned for the welfare of her juvenile children who were being recognized in photographs. So you can't if you make Jennifer McCabe embarrassed, she said embarrassed, that's the exact word. I embarrassed Jennifer McCabe, and that's a felony in Massachusetts because she's a witness, which is a special class of citizens who you're not allowed to embarrass.
Well, did you picket at her home?
Yeah, we went there and for about 7 minutes during a peaceful rolling rally in July of 2022, and we stood outside on a public street, and I explained this woman's involvement in the murder of John O'Keefe, and then we went to the next house.
Now, normally I would be like, that's too far for me, Aiden. I don't think you should picket people's homes. And that is my feeling is we shouldn't go to people's homes to picket. But there's a big but here. When the protesters, violent ones, were outside our Supreme Court justices.
Just thinking that. Yep.
Brett Kavanaugh has been picketed, and they only shut that down when a guy was arrested with a suitcase full of knives and ropes and plans to kidnap Brett Kavanaugh's children and do terrible things to them. That's the only time they finally shut that down. I actually think it would be great if nobody ever picketed anybody's private home. I think that would be a good rule. I think we should all live by it and go picket other places, like public, like the courthouse would be a great place to picket. But if they're not going to stop people from picketing our Supreme Court justices' houses, I want to know how they justify arresting you for picketing a witness in this case for 7 minutes at her house.
People have come to my house and stood outside of before. They never get charged with witness intimidation. It's only when it comes to these special people. And the thing that you included in there about the Supreme Court, we wrote that in one of our replies involved in this, and as many examples of people who have protested outside of people's homes. Derek Chauvin, before he was arrested for the George Floyd thing, there was mobs of people outside his house protesting every day, demanding that he be arrested. At the time, Derek Chauvin was nothing but a witness. He wasn't even a defendant yet, and you were still allowed to protest outside of his home. So that's the way
people protested outside of what's his name's house, the one who Gabby Petito's boyfriend.
Petito's boyfriend, right? And
they protested there for days.
I view Jennifer McCabe as the same thing as those people. In my view, according to the evidence, she was involved in a murder, and eventually, I believe that she'll be arrested and tried for her involvement in that. So I have every right to demand. Just because she hasn't been arrested yet doesn't mean she didn't kill someone. Like, I have the right to protest. I don't view these people as witnesses. When I was going to their homes, I wasn't doing so in the capacity that they're witnesses. I viewed them as killers, cop killers. And I viewed them as people participating in the cover-up of a murder, and that outrages me. That outrages me that our government can do that. It outrages me that people can do that and then walk the streets free like nothing's wrong. That should outrage every decent and honest American citizen. And because I act on that, because I voice my displeasure, because I take it to the streets, I do the most American thing I could possibly do, I'm somehow locked up for that. In the cradle of democracy in the United States of America, Boston, Massachusetts. It's outrageous.
Well, it's amazing, too. When you look at the headlines, after a little while, it became less about Karen Reed, at least for a time, and it became about Dr. Turtleboy. I mean, you were everywhere, and they were talking about you. It is amazing, too. I see investigative reporters for outlets pop up at people's homes all the time. I mean, we see that. We see interviews. We see noise being made. That's how you correct course with something it's perceived as wrong. And it looked like, to me anyway, that's what you were trying to do with that. You were trying to do the same thing that we would see from the mainstream media.
They do it all the time. A reporter on the last day of the trial went to Michael Proctor's house and attempted to ask him questions about what he's done. And his wife yells at the reporter named Kathy Curran from NBC 10 and says, "Get off my lawn. Karen's a killer." It's like, dude, that's the exact same thing I did. I went to the Proctor's house and attempted to ask him questions. And because I did that, I'm being charged with witness intimidation. My favorite was Elizabeth Proctor. She's the wife of Michael Proctor. She's a real peach. And, she's not ashamed to be married to him, which really says a lot because he's going through Reed's phone looking for nudes. And she, back in the day, about a year ago, she was harassing people at their workplaces if they were saying negative things online about her husband. So people would go on Facebook like, Michael Proctor's a pig. Michael Proctor should be fired. And then she clicks on the page, finds out where they work, calls up their employee. Did you know that you have an employee who's doing this? They should be fired. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, my God.
And so she was doing that. And finally, a bunch of people contacted me about it, and I wrote a story about what she'd been doing. And then I put her workplace. She works at this company called Instron in Norwood, and I put her employer on there and links to her employer's Facebook page and Twitter. And I'm like, let them know how you feel about her behavior. If she wants to do this to other people, let's see how she likes it when people do it to her. And for that, I got charged with felony witness intimidation because she's allowed to do it to other people because they're not witnesses. You can't do it to her because she's the family member of a witness, and that's causing economic harm to her or potential economic harm. So she gets to do things other people don't get to do because she's married to a corrupt cop. So she's special.
That's wild, man. How long did you
justify? Oh, sorry, Tug.
I was just going to ask. On top of that, you spent a little time behind bars too because of this. How long were you incarcerated?
I was incarcerated for 60 days. I got locked up on my birthday, December 26th. Worst birthday ever. So it was supposed to be 90 days. We got it down to 60. It turns out they can't revoke your bail for 90 days out of Superior Court. So I got out February 23rd. It sucked. I'm not gonna lie. It was the longest 60 days of my life. And because I was in there, I was like, because of my high profile nature, and I've written about so many people in this area, like you go to jail, everybody's going to know who you are, right? And, I've written about a lot of seedy characters. I'm sure a lot of them are in there, right? Now, they put me in this medical area all by myself, right? So that my first night I got there, all depressed and shit. I'm like, I'm going to jail? I'm not a jail guy. Like, what the hell? Right. And I got thrown in jail, and they throw me in this medical wing. The cell smells like urine. There's a camera in it. You can't even go to the bathroom in privacy. And my CO there comes up to me. She's a turtle rider. She's a fan. And she's just like, you don't belong here. And then she goes, what am I going to watch on Tuesday and Saturday now? And what am I going to do? And she's basically like, she was really nice to me on my first night. And they all were. But I got stuck. I tried to get the Gen Pop so bad because the days went by so slowly. Like, you don't know boredom until you're sitting in a cell for 21 hours a day, no internet. And you're just like, oh my God. Like, luckily you can make phone calls from your, they give you a little pad you can make phone calls from and stuff like that. I read some books. I made the time go by. I exercised a lot, but not being in Gen Pop, they would get like 9 hours of recess a day there. I would only get 3. And I had to do
why were you kept out of Gen Pop?
Because they were like so worried that like if something happens to him, he's going to write about it. And he's going to expose us. The jail thought I was going to expose them, so they didn't want to like set themselves.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I'm like, well, how can you protect me then? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that your job? And I'm like, they wouldn't even.
Normally, they would just keep you out of Gen Pop if they thought there was a threat to you, not
you being a threat to them.
Right? That's exactly
so wild, man.
And I'm like, well, I go, first of all, I have more friends in here than foes. Like, the prisoners love me. Like. So I would do recess in this area from 8 to 10 a.m. every day. And there's like 20 prisoners in there. And they all knew who I was. They would call me over and say, yo, Turtleboy, come here. And everyone wants to tell you about their case. Yo, you got the same judge as me. And blah, blah, blah. She's a bitch. She did this, blah, 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 blah. You got to look at my case. You got to look at this, blah, blah, blah. You the man, Turtleboy. And, so they all liked me and stuff like that. And then they're like, can you get me coffee? Sure, whatever. But like, I didn't have and a lot of the guys in there, they liked me because I wrote about the snitches that put them in there. They're like, oh, you wrote about my ex-girl, you wrote about her and you called her the Jizz Goblin in 2019 and she lied about me and she put me in here. So like, for the most part, the prisoners liked me, but
Do you do mostly local reporting?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly Massachusetts, Rhode Island, based New Hampshire stuff, but occasionally if I have like a big story, a national story, like Megan, I first found you through, for instance, the Eliza Blue thing. Like that, I exposed the shit out of her. I found all her old shit.
Yeah.
I found you during Karen Reed. I did, so I'm not familiar with your work before that, but it's interesting though that you pointed out how the system treats independent reporters differently than your big NBC, ABC. I faced it myself, where I cover court cases and I filed to be media in cases. Even though I work for a large conglomerate, Salem Media, they still try to treat me like I'm not a reporter, like I'm not actually a reporter. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I still face this shit sometimes where they don't want to give me a pass. They don't want to treat me. It's not fair that you get arrested for the same thing that an NBC reporter. Remember all those reporters in front of the Petito in-laws house?
Oh yeah, and he wasn't arrested. He wasn't charged.
No, they weren't arrested. They're never arrested. They can camp out anywhere they want. They can go to anybody's door.
What's his name? The guy that probably killed Petito. What the hell was his name?
I don't know.
Whatever. My point is, he wasn't under arrest yet. He wasn't charged with anything yet. Everybody knew he did it, but he hadn't been charged with anything yet. And that's the same way I view Jennifer McCabe, as somebody who hadn't been charged with anything yet, but we all know she did it. I viewed her
as a character.
Brian Laundrie. That was
a character.
Yeah.
My God.
Brian Laundrie. Same thing.
Well, it's been interesting to watch, pre and post trial. As the trial came up, I felt like your name when people started watching this trial. It was like, wait a minute, this guy might be onto something, and something really big. And I think a lot of people woke up to that idea.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why it's become so popular. You know, the critics will say, "Oh, he's running a cult." I assure you, I'm not charming enough to be a cult leader. Are there any
animal have you taken part in any animal sacrifices?
No, and I haven't promised like salvation or a UFO ship pick us up or anything like that.
Are there matching outfits?
No.
Matching tennis shoes.
Required fabric, linen.
Other than that, it's like I can't. A lot of like half the people following me didn't like me before. Like I get messages all the time from people who are like huge libs or just like don't agree with my politics or whatever. I wrote about somebody that they care about, and they're like, you know what though, it doesn't matter. Like you were right about this one. You know, like so like they're willing to put their previous differences with me aside because you're like, you picked the right side of this one.
Had you ever staged a protest outside a courthouse before? Was this a new thing that you did, or is this something that you've done before?
No, it's not. I've done this before. There was this woman, Monica Cannon Grant. She was a BLM grifter from Boston who she was like named, the media up here kissed her ass. She was like Bostonian of the year for her work in organizing protests and marches. And she was a big scammer. She had this nonprofit that she was using to enrich herself. And I did a big expose on it. And they had her grand opening, I think, in September of 2020 in Boston. And so I went down there with 5 other people and we picketed the shit out of it. And I had my megaphone and I was yelling the same thing at her. Like, you're a liar, you know what I mean? Like, you're a scammer. The same things I'm yelling at Jennifer McCabe, I'm yelling at Monica Cannon Grant. Monica Cannon Grant ended up getting indicted by the feds. She has trial coming up in December. So like I was right about that. Was
she the one that had like millions of dollars in unpaid taxes for those donations? Was that her?
Probably, yeah. I mean, she just,
there were a couple of them that got caught up in that.
In every city, I feel like a BLM grifter.
One of them bought like a multi-million-dollar estate in California with the money.
That's the big one that Candace Owens went after. What the hell is her name?
Okay, right, that one.
Like this is kind of like a junior one of those. This is like an offshoot, the Boston version of that.
Gotcha.
And, yeah. So long story short, like it wasn't illegal when I did the Monica Cannon Grant because
Did you have any of these problems at that trial? Like, did anybody accuse you of witness tampering or
accuse me of racism? But that's about it. Nobody accused me of witness because she wasn't a witness in anything. That's the thing.
She was the defendant. Yeah.
Yeah. She wasn't even a defendant yet. Like they are just using this witness intimidation statute as a way to like limit the free speech rights of other people. Like you can't protest them, It's just they found this little link in it. But
do you know how long those rules have been on the books about witnesses like not being able to
emotional harm and
that. How long has that been on the books?
The statute's been in existence for about 30 years, but it's never been applied in this way. Like people have been charged with witness intimidation before. Yeah, like we've brought up a lot of case law in this. Like people have been charged with witness intimidation in which they go to a witness's house and like beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, threaten physical harm or do failure.
There's a need for a witness intimidation statute. Every state has one. We're the only one that says emotional harm, but no one's ever been arrested and charged with that before. Never mind a report.
Emotional harm is a little bit over the top, don't you think? I mean, that would mean that, gosh, if I were a Massachusetts resident then, and my YouTube show, I talked about the Karen Read trial. I talked about Jennifer McCabe and how I didn't believe her and thought she was a liar. Would I be guilty of witness intimidation?
Yes.
On that? That's crazy.
That seems like I'm looking at the piece of paper that I'm charged with today. They finally sent it to us and they explained that what I did was illegal. And I made Jennifer McCabe embarrassed. That's what it says in there. So you can't do that. Now, I wasn't the only person, by the way. There was hundreds of us that came to her house, like as part of this rolling rally. I'm the only one arrested. Not that I think anyone should be arrested for this, but like the fact that I'm the only one arrested for it really tells you what this is all about. They're not mad about the action itself. They're mad about the platform I have. They're mad about the.
Well, I think you made it go very viral. I mean,
right,
you did.
Without your involvement, it's possible that not even Court TV would have covered it.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't getting any coverage prior to this. Like the court dates were empty. No one was going. And all of a sudden I start blowing this thing up and people are like, oh shit, what's going on here? And it was just a fascinating trial. And I honestly didn't think they'd ever let it get the trial. I'm like, they can't go through with this. No way. And they did. And it was the spectacular dumpster fire that I always knew it was going to be.
So I wasn't following it back then, but I was following it through the trial. And halfway through, I'm like, how did this get brought? Who brought this shitty case? Why?
Yeah.
Why? Okay, worst case scenario, maybe she hit him with the car on accident, but you don't bring murder charges. And I don't even think that that's what happened. But let's just say that accidentally she hit him. There is no way to prove, first of all, that it was intentional. Like, it should have been written off a long time ago. None of these charges should have been brought. They should have just been like, we can't prove it either way. So accident, or unknown. But to bring it against Karen Reed and think that they could, and they almost got a conviction, Aiden. That's the scary part. They almost got one.
According to people, to jurors, it was 6-6, and then towards the end there was some pressure, and the most they ever got to was 8-4. But that is wild that anyone could think that John was hit by a car at all, like just by looking at those autopsy photos.
True, or flew 30 feet. That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, and did a pirouette. That somehow the
crime scene was talking to someone. The crime scene talked. What else did the crime scene in the room with us right now?
Yeah. Is the crime scene sitting here telling us other things?
That was insane. Explain to me, Aiden, again, because I couldn't understand it while I was watching it, and I'm sure you know the answer to this question. What was the state's explanation for the Google search being deleted about the dying in the cold part? How long does it take a body or a person to die in the cold? They had some ridiculous explanation that I remember listening to 2 or 3 times and going, I still don't get it.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. So they brought in this guy, Sir Ian Whiffen, from Alberta, Canada. That's my number one question is, where the hell did you find this guy? Like, you couldn't find a Google expert in the United States.
They had to go all the way to Canada.
They found some guy that was trying to pimp out his app called ArtX, and he used to work for Cellbrite, which is the industry standard for data extraction from phones. And for the first time in the history of data extraction, the prosecution is saying Google searches aren't legitimate. They're usually the ones convicting on Google searches. But for the first time, they're saying, no, this one that it says deleted at 227 didn't actually happen. And so they bring in some guy who's trying to sell his app, and from Alberta, Canada, that they found 6 months later. And then he gets in there, and like you said, I listened to every word he said. I still don't know what the hell he's talking about, because he talked in nerd talk.
Me either.
Just like the WALs and blah, 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 blah. And he just
must have listened to him 3 times, and I was like, wait, what? You're telling me this?
And what you're supposed to do with that as a juror is you're supposed to be like, well, that guy's got a funny accent, and he's saying big words, so he must know.
He knows what he's talking about.
Well, that guy's funny shit. So I don't know what the hell is going on here. Like, that's all that's supposed to do. Like that, because I don't think anybody knows what the hell that guy was saying.
No, I don't. I really don't. And then the other thing was the Apple data. So I have an Apple Watch, right? And it tracks every freaking movement I make. It knows when I'm swimming. It can tell when I'm swimming. And the other day I'm swimming and my thing is buzzing, and it's like, it looks like you're swimming. Do you want to record a swim? And I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, it knows when you're like thinking about eating a burrito. You're like, it knows everything.
Tug, it knows everything you're doing. It knows when you're sitting. It knows when you're standing. Okay, so because it has this goal that like you have to stand every hour, and it wants you to stand. And if you're not standing, it tells you to stand up. So this thing is so sensitive that it knows when you're sitting versus standing. That's not much. That's like what, 2 feet difference between sitting and standing. I am supposed to believe that the Apple data I don't know if he was wearing an Apple Watch or what, or if it was just on the phone.
It's on the phone.
But still, it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. Same technology. I'm supposed to believe that it had him going up and down flights of stairs.
3.
And it was wrong. It was no freaking way. My stupid thing knows when I'm sitting versus standing. It's going to know when I'm taking the stairs.
Well, there's explanation for that. Trooper Garino, who's he graduated from Westfield State, so he's a genius in this stuff. And
you mean the guy who went to community college, or
no, that was Trooper Paul, the expert in accident.
That was the crash guy.
They're all their experts are cops, and so this guy gets up there, and Trooper Garino goes, well, according to the GPS data, he was half a mile away on this street at the time he was ascending and descending stairs, so Apple just must be wrong. And trust me, I went to Westfield State. I know more than Steve Jobs does. And so he goes, this street that he was on had a 50-foot incline according to Google Earth. Okay, so they want us to believe that because of a street has a hill, that causes a phone to go up and down 3 flights of stairs. No problem. So what do I do as a reporter? I get in my car. We have 3 iPhones with us. I sit in the passenger seat because I'm going to be like John O'Keefe. I have 3 iPhones with me, and we drive. And the phone, it's on that street that they said was a 50-foot incline, flattest street you've ever seen in your entire life. It's like Indiana. And we're driving along, and we test it out, and on all 3 phones, not one of them has us going up and down a flight of stairs. Not one, but every other.
Did the defense do this?
Did they?
This
know?
would be great for the defense to have done and be like, we tried to recreate this and it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling the defense how to do their job, but I'm saying there's a couple things
that's a big one, though.
I would have done, But in fairness, the defense got a lot of shit from me. Like, a lot of the information that they presented in court came from yours truly. The one that stands out the most to me is this firefighter, Katie McLaughlin, who said she was merely acquaintances with Caitlin Albert, the daughter of the homeowner who was inside the house when John O'Keefe was killed. She is the first person on January 30th, the first person to tell police that Karen Reed said, I hit him. And that is like that's like their smoking gun.
I hated that so much. I hated it because you cannot tell whether she was going, I hit him? I hit him?
Yeah, what? My cousin Vinny. I shot the clerk.
I hit him? Yeah, I shot the clerk. I shot the clerk.
Same shit.
Like, there's a big difference between how you say those things.
Yeah. Well, what's been interesting watching this stuff is the impact that investigative journalists, just regular people going out there looking at cases can have. I mean, I started following you with Eliza Blue. That's where I tuned in, and I was watching this stuff play out because I was more interested. Again, I didn't know Karen Reed. I was looking at other cases, but I was watching everything pointed your way, and it was fascinating and crazy too, because it wasn't just like, the mainstream, they came after you. You have, government themselves, but then, you reported like harassment. You reported the turtle incident, all of this stuff you've been through.
That was wild. They're still investigating that. I mean, I hope that's not related to this shit. I mean, the Worcester police are still investigating that poor turtle that they murdered and hung at my parents' house. Like, and they lynched it. That was crazy. But yeah, I mean, shit like that.
I saw people on Twitter like seriously accusing you of doing that.
Well, the first thing the Worcester police said to me is, "We've ruled you out as a suspect." Because
wasn't it at your parents' house too?
It was at my parents' house, and I was
right. Like, you would ever do something like that to your own parents? That's so sick.
Yeah, and these are sick people. I mean, and I was in Boston. I was at the Karen Reed case the next day. I was actually at the Karen Reed case when I found out about it. It's silly, but like, that's how sick these people are. And you mentioned earlier the fact that people are in your replies are saying this and that. But that's it. They only exist online. They don't exist in real life. Like, I've seen these people show up once, and there was like 10 of them, okay? And they wore blue shirts, and they just said, and that's all they got to say. In the real world, nobody actually believes any of this crap. It's all on Twitter. It's like the same, I guarantee it's like the same 15 people making a bunch of fake accounts saying this crap.
Well, they're also putting out videos of like, well, now we have our own protesters to help the Alberts get into court and whatever. Is it like 5 people?
Yeah, it's like 5 of them. It's a ragtag patrol. You wouldn't want people like this on your side. I'd be embarrassed, quite frankly.
It's crazy how they try to sculpt public opinion. We've seen this in many trials. You see just a handful of people creating accounts, trying to throw something out there like there's an army of them. And like you said, in real life, when that manifests, it doesn't manifest.
Right. You know, so I mean, because when I first found out about this, I'm like, well, there's a reason so many people are buying into what I'm saying. It's because the facts are on our side. It's kind of like undeniable. So it's easy to be on this side. Whereas on the other side, like the hoops that you have to jump through in order to pretend that somehow Jennifer McCabe is a nice person that you should get behind and support is just, or that Michael Proctor, imagine having to support Michael Proctor after reading all those text messages. Like, Michael Proctor's a good cop. He should have his job. Like, no, that's a really hard position to take, actually.
You've been very justified now in your criticism of Michael Proctor because he's under investigation by Internal Affairs. So he had his hearing, as far as I know. They decided that he would be suspended without pay until the investigation is done. Yep. When are we going to see an outcome of that? Do you know?
I don't know when. It's only a matter of when, not if he gets fired. They're going to fire him. And
ironically, better.
Yeah. I mean, ironically, one of the things I've been indicted for is because I made a comment that Michael Proctor should be fired. He should not be a cop. Well, apparently the state police agree with me because he's suspended. Like, of course he shouldn't be a cop.
Wait a minute. You saying that is part of your indictment?
Yeah. I mean, I'll read some more parts of this indictment. I have it right in front of me.
Yeah, I do, for sure. Yeah.
Whoa.
Here's this
Why
one.
are you not allowed to say that a dirty cop should be fired? The guy wrote the C word about a
because he's a witness. He's a witness
investigating. This is crazy.
It says here on September 13th, 2023, Kearney posted a blog entry entitled "Can't Cover Up Part 142, Free Karen Reed Billboard Goes Up on Route 1 Outside Gillette Stadium in Foxborough." Kearney suggested, so this big Karen Reed billboard got put up outside the Patriot Stadium, so everybody sees it. And it says, Kearney suggested the billboards would serve the purpose of tainting the potential jury pool by propagandizing them. As to her defense, or as he put it, it's really important for people in Norfolk County to know about this story because that is where the jury pool would be chosen from. So in other words, because I supported and liked a billboard that was put up outside the Patriot Stadium, that's witness intimidation because I'm affecting the jury pool.
Jury pool tampering. You know, that's crazy though, because you have a right, a First Amendment right, to say to the state, you should drop this case. And I'm gonna get public support and make you drop this case because it's so bad. I mean, you have a right to do that. You have a right to
You're allowed to have an opinion on you're
allowed to get a billboard.
Is this a public document that you're talking about, by the way?
Yeah. It's it just came out. I'm going to publish it later on. I'm going to do a story on it, breaking it down just to show the world exactly. Because when they always mention, whenever they mention me, always been charged with witness intimidation. It's bad, and that sounds bad, right? Witness intimidation. That sounds. Whoa. Take it easy, pal. Enough. Right. Take it easy. Going too far there. And it's like, but if you actually read the charges, you're like, this is a joke, right? Like I'm being punked. Like he liked the billboard. That's a crime. He said that Michael Proctor should be fired. That's crime. Like,
everyone thinks that.
Everyone thinks that. Like, oh no, he protested outside of a home for 7 minutes and then he left. Oh no, dear God. I hope they're going to be okay. Like I never once have I said that you better change your testimony or else. I want them to testify. Like I love that trial was great for business. You found out who I was because of that trial. They're like, oh, he doesn't want this to go to trial. Of course I do. I t-shirt on this trial. Like the trial was great for me business wise. Yeah. Why wouldn't I want to go to trial? They quoted me. I had one quote in there. They said this on March 19th in episode 604, Kearney divulged that his ambitions were beyond merely tainting the jury pool. Quote, I've said from the beginning, I do not want this case to go to trial. I said that, and then the next sentence I said was, because it's not fair to Karen Reed. Even though I would benefit from this greatly, and I would make a shitload of money off of this, I don't think it's right for this to go to trial because this is a sham. It should be thrown out. It should be dismissed. That's witness intimidation. Now, when you say, quote, I do not want this case to go to trial,
that's terrible. That's not. That can't possibly stand. What are you facing as far as the sentences? 120
years in jail.
Jesus,
come on.
Yeah, I swear I'm facing more years than Karen Reed is.
Come on.
God, it's just like I mean I'll never do a day. I'll tell you that much right now. I'm not worried about it at all. I cannot wait to not only win this case, but then sue the crap.
Wait, who's the judge going to be?
We have a much better judge. Same courthouse, different judge. His name's Kayleen, but they rotate in and out. These judges, so we'll get a different judge every time.
When's your trial?
Never. I mean, it's taken forever. It's been almost a year now, and they've made like no progress. They're stalling on evidence. They're stalling on like giving us stuff.
They don't have anything.
They lost never a reason for it. All they wanted to do was just put me on bail, because when you're on bail, it's like you're walking on thin ice. And then, like, I'd be afraid at this point to go up to Jennifer McCabe and ask her a question, because I'm not losing 60 days without my kids again, because I got 2 little kids. I'm not going to lose 60 days because I want to ask Jen McCabe a question. It's just not worth it.
So wait, do they keep you on bail restrictions until your trial, and then they're just dragging this out forever? So when does this end? So like, as long as I'm on bail, if I get charged, this is terrible. If I get charged with another crime, anything, if I get a DUI, right, then it's automatic 60 days in jail again. So like that's but if Trooper Proctor gets a DUI, they drive drunk all the time. Right, those guys. They drive drunk in their cars. They leave their guns places. They leave their badges places. They fight and drink and drive and fight and drink and drive again. They're fine,
that's one heck of a way to intimidate you, though. I mean, you can see the motive for that. I mean, that seems pretty transparent to me. That's what I said the day I was arrested. I tweeted out, I go, a bunch of men with guns came to my house and searched my house. In front of my kids, they arrested me. I'm not the one doing the intimidating here. I'm not the one with the power. I'm not the one with the guns and the gavels. They are. They're doing the intimidating of a journalist and an activist, and trying to prevent him and make him too scared to do his job. And they've somewhat succeeded that, because there's some things I'm not willing to do while I'm out on bail. Like, I'm not willing to go up to Jennifer McCabe and ask her a question now, because I'm not risking it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, they have succeeded in that. See, that's one thing. That's one regret I have, because again, we caught up in whatever case that we're watching, and I didn't see how everything was playing out for you, man. I want to rectify some of that, because, man, you've been through a lot, dude. And this could be any of us. Any of us could go out and talk about cases. We've been mentioning cases and other stuff, but for you, oh God, yeah, it's happened. That's to me another recently. Extreme. I've never seen, I've seen some crazy outcomes, but your outcome, I mean, that was absolute insanity. If I had taken the exact opposite position and I had said that Karen Reed is guilty, and I went up to Karen Reed and did what I did to Jennifer McCabe and was just like, Karen, how do you feel? How'd you kill somebody? How could you do something like this? I would not be charged with witness intimidation, even though she is certainly a potential witness in her own case. Right. She could testify, right? I would not be charged. It's when you take on the powerful. It's when you take on the institutions themselves. That's when, and I played with fire, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think this would ever happen, but it did. And I'm like, wow, they kind of proved my point to me. In retrospect, though, do you have any regrets? No. I mean, would you maybe not do this again if you could go back in time? Would you choose a case that wasn't in your home jurisdiction? No, I would do it all over again. And I get that question a lot, and I think I've thought about it, and I think the answer is that no matter what, I didn't do anything illegal. And so no matter what I did, they would find a way to make whatever I did, whatever I said, illegal. Like, they would find a way to make it illegal. So like, my only option was to not talk about it at all. And I'm not going to do that. Like, I'd rather die. I mean, I hate to say it, but like, we live in the United States of America. Our founding fathers, I was a history teacher for 10 years before this. Like, I love this shit. And our founding fathers, like John Adams, and these were rich landowning people who could have lived under British rule and been comfortable and just fine. But they're like, fuck it. Let's declare independence, because some things matter more than, like, our liberty matters more than anything. And for me to voluntarily just give up those rights to a tyrannical government, I'd be shitting all over the founding fathers. I couldn't do it. So no, I have to do it. It's wild to me. Hey, can you link that document to me? I know you're in cover. Yeah. Can you link that on to it? Because I definitely like this aspect. Again, it hits closer to home, Karen, because what you've talked about, you've mentioned two things in here that really, you've mentioned kids. I have 2 kids, the impact on your family, the impact on your parents. I mean, I'm sure they've been through a lot too. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, my mom, the turtle happened 2 days after my mom died. That turtle was put there. I mean, the timing of that all.
And it's just like, yeah. So like, I mean, that was the one good thing about incarceration was I got closer to my parents. I hadn't been talking to them as much. You know, life gets ahead of you. You're busy. But every day in jail, 8 o'clock, I would call my mom and dad and I talked to them. So it was kind of like a blessing. And I didn't know my mom was going to be terminal at that time. So it was like, you know, it was kind of a blessing in disguise that, you know, that it happened that way. It was a real wake up call. You know, I was making in my personal life, I was making poor decisions that, you know, I just needed to fix. Not like I wasn't breaking the law or anything like that, but I just needed to time. It was like therapy being in jail, you know, it was like life therapy. So it was kind of good for me in a way.
I'm glad you can look at it that way.
Yeah,
I'm glad you can, because I mean, you know, looking back through that from an outsider perspective, people don't understand too, you know, when they see the stuff that you face. Yeah, it's not video to video or post to post. You live this. It's every minute of every day. You deal with the stress and the reality. Again, over 100 years potentially. I mean, you're strong and boisterous about it right now, but man, that's got to be hella stress too.
It is, you know, I mean, at times you're like, wow, the weight of the state is on you. And you're just like, wow, they can do whatever they want, you know, but I know that I just have an army of people behind me and they're not going to let me fight this alone. And I know that the Constitution allows me to do everything I did. I don't care what some witness intimidation statute in Massachusetts says. The Constitution trumps that. And that's why we have judicial review. And we will take this all the way to Washington if we need to. This statute is
I want this to go all the way to the Supreme Court if it needs to, because this is terrible precedent. This is absolutely terrible precedent, because where does it stop? Where does it end? I mean, maybe this case isn't the case that you want to, you know, go to bat for, but which one is? Because there will be some where people want to say to the state, what you're doing here is wrong. Stop. And there should be no reason why people in the community can't rise up, whether you're a journalist or not, and wage a campaign against the state if they should so choose.
Yep.
Whether it's cops, I don't care. I don't care who it is. If it's any elected official, count me in. If they suck, they suck. And if you want to take out a billboard to tell people that they suck, you're allowed to do that. How can that be in your indictment? My mind is blown by this. I can't wait to see that document, by the way.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys after. Send me your emails. I'll send it to you. I'm also going to post it on my website, do a little story on it. So, but it's wild. It's wild. So,
I know you said you had an hour. So we're right at an hour right now. Do you have more time? Or?
I got like 10 more minutes if you want. I do a stream called Turtle Club for my subscribers at 9:30, but I got like 10 more minutes. I can hang around. You guys have?
Yeah. I'm more interested, like I said, in we can all watch the trial. We can have our opinions on that, but what I've seen, again, you facing, I'm more interested in that. I'm more interested in the Dr. Turtleboy portion of this because, again, you know, I can see anybody facing something like this. You know, there are lines. Again, you use words like upset, embarrass. What the fuck does that mean?
It's wild. One guy says, like, I caused Chris Albert, brother of Brian Albert, says that he ordered this. This is what it actually says in the charging documents, that he ordered, he extorted his followers to confront Albert and order food from D&E Pizza with the intention of not paying for it. That never happened. Like, this shit that never happened. Like, what? That literally never happened. No one ordered. Nobody wants his crappy pizza. Nobody's calling his pizza shop. I didn't tell anyone to do it. They just make shit up, and you're looking at this thing. You're like, everything I allegedly did was on film. So, where is the film on this? None of this shit actually happened. Like, what? So, like I said, the whole purpose of this wasn't. They have no intention of like convicting me of this. The whole purpose was to have a dog and pony show where they parade me in front of the cameras in handcuffs, and they just whenever they
it was definitely to intimidate you and anybody else who wanted to do what you did,
and to just discredit me, like more than anything to discredit me, because now they can say, well, oh, you're going to believe the reporting of that guy, he got charged with witness intimidation, can't believe a word he says. That was kind of the whole purpose, because every time I'm mentioned by the media in the context of the Kearney case, they mention the witness intimidation charges. They don't.
It worked. It did work, man. I remember, like, anytime I'd be like, you know, I'm not caught up on this case. I don't know everything in it. Anytime I'll comment on something of yours or anything whatsoever, it'd be like, oh, look at this guy. He's it. And then the case hit. And it was like, wait a minute, no, I saw that song. It changed, and it changed quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it's kind of worked in that regard, because the whole purpose was to kind of, I mean, they have put a fight, like for a while there, for the first 4 or 5 months of this, there was no pushback at all. It was just us against nobody. Like there was the McCabe's, the Alberts, nobody was coming out, no one was supporting them. There were no online trolls instigating stuff. That changed in like probably August or September of last year, when this woman, Jennifer Kofindaper on Twitter, I don't know if you've seen her. She's like on Court TV. She's an idiot. Claims
I've seen her.
Former FBI. She just took this position that the state is great and Karen Reed's guilty. And she's got like 100,000 followers on there. And I did a FOIA request for all the emails from the district attorney's office. And I saw that they were in communication with her. They're basically using this woman to like push back, to have like a PR blitz of, no, actually, Turtleboy's the bad guy. Actually, Karen
I was
Reed.
actually wondering if they had hired PR. I wonder if the McAlberts hired a PR team because once you start seeing the online trolls and stuff, like the troll activity, that's usually a good sign that there's bots and an online campaign against you. But, I know that would be something that would be hard to discover, but it did kind of seem like they might have consulted an expert.
Well, the majority of these people who, claim to say that Karen Reed is guilty, they all have one thing in common. They all just don't like me or have some sort of history with me. Like the 5 people who showed up to protest against Karen Reed on June 28th, we call them the Food Stamp 5. 5 crazy women. All 5 of them, I have a story on each one. Like, oh, that one used to work for me, and then I got caught her stealing money, and then I wrote about how she abused her kids and lost them to the state. Okay, that one right there. Oh, she was a free Karen. She supported free Karen Reed, and then I found out she was scamming people, and she had a whole bunch of GoFundMes, and I called her out for it, and then she thought Karen Reed was guilty. All 5 of them have that in common. So, like, most of these people, most of the resistance and pushback you see on social media, if you go back on their timelines, they just haven't liked me for years, and that's all it comes down to.
Well, it's really fascinating. Bizarre. People confuse too. They confuse 2 issues. You can have any opinion you want over the trial. Anybody can, if they want to think whatever. But the thing that happened with you is a totally separate thing. Mm-hmm. And, these people, if they have opinions, imagine if their opinion was shut down. Most people can't put themselves into that position and think, man, Turtleboy could be me.
Well, you know what? They thought that by arresting me, like when I got arrested and brought down there, they did it quietly. They didn't make it a big announcement that they were doing it, but the McAlberts all knew. And so when I got brought up to the courtroom around noon, I walk in the courtroom, it is filled with people I hate who feel the same way about me. Jennifer McCabe, Elizabeth Proctor, Chris Albert, they're all sitting there with this huge shit-eating grin like, we got you now, motherfucker. How does it feel? And I'm standing up there with my hands behind my back, and I just looked at them like, this shit doesn't faze me at all. Like the whole time I was thinking up there, I'm just like, I'm going to be so rich off of this. I am going to fucking, the documentary. Like
that's the attitude.
Stronger. I hope you like it. I enjoy this little picture right now, because this is all you're going to get out of me. Because from here on out, I'm going to be doing nothing but exposing you motherfuckers. Well, enjoy your stupid little victory. This is all you get. This is all you get.
It's wild though. I mean, like I said, I've never seen them go to this length. But again, you weren't just taking on a case. You weren't talking about that. You're taking on a system that says, hey, how dare you step out of line, Turtleboy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, the same very cops who I've been accusing of murdering or covering up the murder of John O'Keefe were the same people who came to my house and put me in cuffs in front of my kid's bus stop. And, like, wow. You should have seen this. Like, we got all the dash cam videos and stuff there's another bus that goes by my house every morning. My kids, we call it the Boston bus. I'm like, oh, that bus is going to Boston, I say. And it comes like 5 minutes before the other bus. And the cops follow that bus. Like, they have the dash cam, and they're like, it goes by my house. Like, fuck, it went by the house. Where's his kids? They're like all looking for my kids everywhere and shit like that. They're freaking out. Like, oh, did we miss it? And like, oh, it's the wrong bus. They follow this poor school bus. The state police did. The bus driver's probably freaking out over it. And then finally, I drop them. My kids get right on the bus. They're 6 and 8 at the time. I cross the street. I'm going up about to walk up my driveway, and this truck, I think it's a Dodge or GMC comes over and he's like, "Hey, my man, what's up?" And I'm like, "What? What's going on here?" And he's like, "Yo, you're under arrest. We got 9 warrants and I'm being handcuffed." And then Brian Tully comes out of nowhere with his, he looks like a freshly circumcised penis. That's how he looks. And you're like that's how he looks, like a shiner. Okay. And he comes over, he just starts reading my rights. Like, "Got you now, motherfucker." And I'm like, "Oh, you hope you enjoy this, motherfucker, because this is it." And the rest of the day, when I'm like, I posted my booking video, I'm in there, Brian Tully's, I'm like, I've been looking for you everywhere, Brian Tully. And he's like, I'm like, "So where's that Ford Edge? Like, are you guys going to find that Ford Edge that was parked outside of Brian Albert's house at 2:30 a.m.? We're not talking about the Karen Reed case." And then he asks me, "Do you have any aliases?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "What are they?" I'm like, "Daddy." And they put that right in the alias. Oh, yeah.
They put it in there.
That was the first one, is Daddy. And Dr. Turtleboy and Uncle Turtleboy. So, yeah, I made him
Uncle
AKA
Turtleboy.
Daddy.
Dude, that would be like if you got arrested and they were like, "Do you have any aliases?" And you're like, "Pickle you?"
Yeah. Tug,
Tug's
you know?
tits?
Wow.
Tug's tits?
tits. Oh, my.
Oh my God.
Well, the
This
amount
is
of support
crazy.
the amount of support that you've managed to, not just for this, for Karen Reed, but for yourself has been absolutely amazing to watch. That.
I have amazing supporters. I love them. They're great people. Like I said, I didn't feel alone in jail because I got messages every day, hundreds of messages on the Securus app from people saying like that I knew were out there. And, even though I was alone every day, they didn't make me feel like I was alone. So just to have all these people out there, and the day that I was released on February 23rd, I was in the courthouse, I was in a cell, and I could hear the mob outside growing and growing and growing. And when I was finally released, it was like I almost broke down and cried. I'm like, it was the most overwhelming sense of emotion I've ever had. And all these people out there, and they're just great people. And they, like I said, I'm not brainwashing any of them. They're not in a cult. They just support what I do, and they're great people, and I love them. And thanks everybody for the support.
The chat wants to know if they can support you in your legal fight. Do you have a legal fund?
Oh yeah, so I have a Give Send Go, and I'll just put it right in the chat right now.
That would be great.
I'll put it in the private chat, and if you want to share it,
yeah,
you can go there because I got 2 lawyers now, Mark Betterow and Tim Bradle, and like I said, we are aggressively pursuing this. It's quite a case, and we will take this all the way to Washington if necessary, and it's not going to be cheap. So we'd appreciate any and all support.
If you're hearing, if you ever have a hearing coming up, is it going to be? Are we going to get to see it streamed? Is it going to be on television?
Oh yeah, all of my court dates are streamed. The next one is on August 29th, and so that will be streamed. All my previous ones have been streamed, and like the prosecutors are like a joke in my case. They're just clowns. Like they couldn't find a regular prosecutor to do my case. Nobody wanted it, and so they had to ask like the 12th guy they finally asked, Ken Mello. He needed the money. His website said the law office of Ken Mello with 3 Fs. I shit you not. And that's how incompetent this dude is. So he just needed the money. And so I'm not going up against the best. Like, that's why I'm not that worried about it. Like, they threw the JV squad at me. So
I tried to link it there. I'm actually linking it to
I put
your,
a tiny URL link. So
yeah, because I linked the big one and it was like, wait a minute, too.
Yeah, it's too long.
Yeah, I'm linking the small one in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm making sure. Because, I mean, that's, it's amazing, like, how much justice costs, too. Like, most people don't realize, when you look at the goal here, for $200K, I mean, people don't realize, like, that doesn't even get you that far sometimes.
Karen Reed's legal bill is well over $1 million. All these experts you got to pay, flying them in. It's just like, it's no joke. Like Rick Green, he cost more than her lawyers did. To pay for his hotel rooms and to do all this data extraction work. And it's sad just to prove that you're innocent. And then when you win, you don't get any of that money back.
Yeah, you don't get nothing back.
Refund policy on any of this stuff. So it's like, oh, well, we tried. And it's free for the state because they're, getting paid with taxpayer money. What do they care? So.
Yeah, they get to play any way they want. They get to play dirty. They get to spend our taxpayer revenue on BS.
They have GoFundMe. It's called, elections. Like that's their GoFundMe. The legislature. So But
That's crazy, man. I'm looking through. Actually, you've done remarkably well, though. You're getting close. You're at what, about 60 something, almost
yeah,
70%.
we're up to 135 or 136,000, so it's great to see. And we're going to keep doing it. And like I said, people support this. They want to support it because I'm not just fighting for me. I'm fighting for the First Amendment, man. The First Amendment is on trial in Massachusetts, and I'm just the whipping boy up here who's been made an example of. But if they can do this to me, they can and they will do this to anyone. I'm the guinea pig in all this. So that's why people fight this, and we're gonna beat this, and we're gonna set new case law, and kids are gonna read about it in the history books one day. Turtleboy versus Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and we're gonna win.
Well, there are going to be documentaries about all of this and everything else.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So I mean, I've been in touch with many documentary companies about doing a documentary on this. So it's gonna go down in the history books. I'm telling you, just wait.
Yeah, I mean, from your side alone, I think, again, there's documentaries on the Karen Reed stuff, but then, again, what's aimed at you and aimed at press. I shouldn't say aimed at you. I should say aimed at media, or what anybody wants to call that. Again, the face of media has changed.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
People don't recognize that a lot of times. They don't recognize, like,
the system
your access
refuses to recognize it. The system.
Well, I was looking at his Twitter. This is what fascinates me. You on a baseline, the worst that you get as far as embedded views is around 20,000. But sometimes, you're talking about posts into the millions of embedded views.
Yeah. I mean, Elon's been good to me, allowing, because I was banned from Twitter for about 2.5 years. I couldn't even make new accounts. Every time I made a new account, they would recognize my IP and the account would get shut down. But I've been allowed to grow on there, and the content catches on, and people like it, and they engage with it, and they interact with it, and that's how it works, And so you give the people what they want. You give the people, the news that they've been looking for, that the media is not giving them, and surprisingly, that sells. People actually, there's a thirst for that. So.
Who would have known that actually reporting the reality of a case would be something that the public craves, right?
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, it's amazing, though. I mean, you've worked hard, though. You've got over 100,000 followers on Twitter, but man, you've worked for that. You've paid a high price to get that.
Yeah, I hustled. I earned everything that everything I have today came through hard work, determination, and overcoming obstacles. And many times I've wanted to quit. It would have been easier to just. I had a nice, simple job as a teacher. You'll be middle class your whole life. You'll never be rich. You'll never be poor, but you'll have a pension at the end of this, and it's a safe existence. But you just got to keep your mouth shut and not express your opinions too much on the internet. And I'm just not built to do that. So I was built to be Turtleboy. This was my destiny.
Well, I've seen people say, oh man, he's too rough around the edges. I was like, really? That's your that's your criticism out of everything that comes on, rough around the edges, really?
Yeah, I mean, I am, but it's like, I tell people that I'm like, you're not always going to agree with some of the things that I say and some of the language I use, but you got to look at the whole package. You're like, is it okay? So he says, this word I don't like, or he said this I disagree with, but you got to look at the big picture. Like, what am I fighting for? Yeah, like if you're focusing on the language I'm doing, then you're looking at all the wrong things.
Well, and like you said, I thought this was a good statement too. People may disagree with other things that you post or you say. You posted a couple of things where people are like, "Oh, I'm unfollowing you because." But really, by and large, people have learned that if we can set aside the political or social differences there, and we actually aim at a case, we actually aim at policy, and we want to change something, we can get something real done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the beauty of this all, is that it's kind of united people along political lines, people who might not have liked me before, they're on board with this one. So we're going to keep doing it until if they want to keep going at Karen Reed, they want to keep going at me, we're going to keep fighting back.
You want to, like I said, I know you had said 10 minutes, you've been on 15. Do you want to say anything before you go? Do you want to add anything to this?
I just want to thank you for having me on your show. Really appreciate it. It's nice talking to you guys. And like I said, if you guys are new to Turtleboy, follow. I go live every Tuesday and Saturday night on my YouTube channel, Turtleboy Live. We're getting close to 100,000 subs. I think they give you like one of these plaques if you get that. So give us a subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Dr. Turtleboy, and just keep following the content. Keep up.
Well, I appreciate you coming on.
It was great to meet you.
Yeah, man. And I'm sure there'll be follow up. I'll have questions and stuff as we get into your documents themselves. I'm sure I'll have specific
Send me your
questions
email and we'll chat some more.
Okay. All right, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you, brother. I know you got your own show. I know how that is. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Nice
Take
talking
care,
to you.
Aiden.
Have a great night.
You too,
You
brother.
too.
See you. All right, yeah, that was nice of him actually, because he said, I've got an hour, that's it, and then it was like, well, I've got 10 more minutes, and then I kept him, and I was like, if I keep him too long, I know how that is, because for myself, I mean, the thing that bothers me in this, and I'm sure, like for yourself, I'm sure this resonates with you. Again, any of us could follow it because we could all be aimed at like this, because I mean, I remember again the Heard case.
Tried. They've
Yeah,
already
well, I
tried.
remember, with that case, people have no idea some of the stuff that happened in that. No idea. They tried the kind of stuff they aimed at him. Law enforcement didn't. I wasn't aiming at law enforcement. Luckily, they weren't a corrupt feature in that. But we had police reports over 6 states. We had the FBI that was contacted. Yeah, so people do try to weaponize those systems.
Well, there's a reason why I never tell stories where I live in my jurisdiction. Never. I mean, whenever, in fact, I've got a guy I hand stories off to. So if I ever get a story in New York where I might be under the jurisdiction of that judge, I hand it off to somebody in Chicago, because I'm not going to put myself in a position where, and I just don't have the kind of balls that Aiden does. I'm not putting myself in a situation where some judge can order me arrested, or dirty cops can come and arrest me. I operate across state lines. That's not in the state where I live. And that's actually, it's scary, because it means that, our institutions are corrupted if journalists have to worry about what stories they tell and in what states. But that's the one protection that I have. I mean, we've got David Gingras in Arizona, this terrible lawyer in the Laura Owens case, who has tried to drag me and Dave Neal into court documents and threatened that he's going to sue us and do bad things to us because we're reporting this case that he happens to be the lawyer on. This could easily happen to any of us. You were named repeatedly, and people came after you during the Johnny Depp trial. You were named by the lawyers in the case. It's not safe in this country anymore for reporters, independent reporters, to actually report on these types of, boiling cases. It's not safe. You have to be careful. And that's scary.
Well, it's scary that at any time, like something like this, again, I'm not faced off against this, but we talk about judges. We actually talk about witnesses quite a bit. We talk about corruption, and at any time, like I said, that could be any of us, any time, and that's frightening. I remember watching him at the beginning with, some people are like late to the party on that. For me, I'm not looking at the Karen Reed. I think with what I'm seeing there, maybe I will. Maybe I'll go back, look at everything that was there. But I was more interested in watching somebody that covers this stuff, because you can see a reflection of yourself in that.
Yep. Yeah, what the media goes through, especially independent media, reporting these cases, trying to give people a different outlet than court TV or Law and Crime, right? We're trying to give people a different perspective, because those places are so corporate and their narrative is all the same.
And they're afraid of it. Well, they don't do research. What really pisses me off, like the first thing he said was, I based my opinion on reading these court documents. I went through and I read that. That separates you from the mainstream, from any of the court coverage, because all they do is cover a trial. And the trial, there's a lot more evidence. Like for Depp, I found 80% of what I actually looked through was not in that trial, but it sculpts your opinion on it. And I mean, making an informed opinion. It annoys me so much when we see these mainstream media outlets actually covering on it, and people don't realize too. We've talked about this before. When you look at outlets, many of them are covered from one place, like Penske Media, for example. They cover 12 25, 30 outlets.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the eye artist?
Just a second, I got a kid. 1 minute. Can you hold it for 1 minute?
No problem. No problem. I'm going to end up, when he comes back, I'm going to go get a drink because I have no drink up here. All right. Yeah, it is a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing. The mainstream media, they get all the accolades, but they do none of the work. They really don't. Some of the local reporters do a good job, but most of the time, these big name conglomerates, they do none of the work. And they come to the story after all the hard work has been done by a lot of the independent investigators, which is why supporting people like Aiden, supporting people like us, it's good because we're looking at stories you care about. Tug, I'm going to run and get a drink.
Okay.
I'm going to run and get a drink. I'll be back.
Okay. And people can disagree too. That's one of the keys there. People can disagree. They can fall. I don't care that people disagree with what I say. In fact, a lot of times when I go through something, I learn a lot from watching other people and looking at how, they bring evidence to the table. I just think that if the state can go after you, again, the words that were there that really stand out. I mean, you think about how these could be sculpted. Upset, embarrass. What do those words mean? At the end of the day, somebody's upset. You upset them. You embarrass them. Again, if you're talking about intimidating people physically, you go to their home and you threaten them. You make physical threats. Or you go in and you actually do physical harm. Yes, indeed. But you upset them when you're talking? One of the things, too, I didn't bring it up while Turtleboy was talking, but not even in cases, like outside of it. Again, you can hate the people I mentioned, but I remember Taylor Lorenz going to Libs of TikTok's home. And, if I know plenty of people don't like that account too, but one of the things to remember in that, they went to the wrong home. They actually went after the wrong Jewish female. They went out and they said horrible things about them to their families. They were essentially saying, you're going to be arrested. That was terrible stuff. That was definitely crossing the line, in my opinion. But what happened with that is the media, they stood behind that person. The media did. Nothing happened judicially. So it's just fascinating. Again, I'm not saying, witness versus this. Obviously wasn't a witness there. But as far as investigative journalism is concerned, like we've seen that forever. We've seen people go to people's homes, actually ask for interviews, ask for comments. It's crazy.
Yeah, so if you've got NBC after your name, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But if you are an independent journalist, you're not. You could go to jail. I mean, I'd like to see some precedent where actual mainstream press were arrested for the same thing. Because this seems nuts to me.
Well, and some of these people, like he said, some of these people were engaging in behavior that would be a lot worse. Calling up their employers, trying to get people fired. And they definitely do that, by the way. We see that in every single case that we talk about. People go after, that's the first line a lot of times. They'll go after that, or they'll go after family. They try to, the whole thing with family, too, that is a way to intimidate you, because they're trying to find a line. If you imagine that people have a line in the sand that they won't cross, that's you projecting that. It's not actually their line. That's your line in the sand. And it's amazing because some people, they have no lines whatsoever. And they're allowed to do that.
It's terrible. That Karen Reed case, the thing that really did it for me, I mean, the Knuckles thing was one, but the moment when I turned away from the TV in disgust was when I heard the testimony that Chloe, the German Shepherd, now I've owned German Shepherds, 2 of them. I'm an expert on German Shepherds. And one thing about German Shepherds you cannot train out of them is the unhinged barking at everything. Blowing leaves, you get up from a chair too fast, they will bark. Just today, I was upstairs. My dog doesn't go up the stairs. He's downstairs and he just lives down there. He doesn't like stairs. So, and neither of my German Shepherds have liked stairs, which is interesting. But I'm upstairs in a different room, and I got out of my chair quickly, and the dog started barking. And I knew exactly why he was barking. He heard me get up out of my chair, and he started barking. These dogs bark at everything. And I'm listening to these people on the stand literally say that Chloe, the German Shepherd who is reactive, they described her as reactive and nervous around people. She had no reaction when at 5 a.m, 5 feet from her window, there were police and first responders all over the yard and a screaming woman. Not one bark, nothing. Then they want me to believe that another woman, her sister, comes running into the house and barging into their bedroom at 5 a.m. and the dog had no reaction. I'm sorry, absolutely not. That is a lie from the pit of hell. German Shepherds bark at everything. Everything. I knew it was a lie when they said that. So that dog was either not there or there. Actually, I don't think the dog could have been there at that point because the first responders outside would have heard the dog making a huge ruckus.
That whole case, that's one reason, there's this huge argument about how we shouldn't have all these cases televised. And it's like, look at these cases. When you see that, and maybe that will actually influence people in the future to not just believe charges equal guilt. We were talking about how a jury could find something. And again, this isn't a statement about really Karen Reed. This is a statement about any case. If you go in and there's been quite a few articles written about this, or not articles, but research journals rather, about people believing that charges alone, that equals guilt. Because, people think, well, there wouldn't be if there was something there. And that's that biasing.
That's what's
effect.
happening to Aiden, Like every time they mention him, it's, he's the guy who was charged with witness intimidation. So you automatically have this, red flag against him.
Yeah, and it discredits. I mean, again, I didn't realize how bad things
I didn't either.
gotten there. I saw the DUI guy interview, and when that came up, I tuned in, and people were like, even now, when I said, hey, I'm going to interview this guy, people were like, no, some people were like, no, how dare you? And it's like, well, you can disagree with it. You can disagree vehemently. That's okay. But he is allowed to have a voice in that. He's facing some real consequences.
120 years. Who is he, Donald Trump? They're acting like he's, a threat to the globalist satanic whats. I don't understand why he's facing 120 years.
I mean, for real, okay, like we cover horrible cases. PDF files, for example. Most PDF files.
That's what I was trying to say, but I couldn't come up with the word.
Yeah, they face, 3 to 6 years for horrible stuff.
An average of 3 to 6 years.
Yeah,
guys.
and they spend about 18 months in jail. I mean, this guy just on being arrested, he spent more time than many of those Hollywood monsters. Yeah.
For picketing in America.
It blows my mind.
I wonder how many of those people outside of Brett Kavanaugh's house did any jail time for that, for the raucous rioting that they did in front of his house.
Not just that. I mean, people were going around just neighborhoods and stopping at random people's homes and doing crazy stuff at random people's homes.
Remember those people in St. Louis? Remember everyone made fun of them for having guns out on their lawn when the mob was coming through their neighborhood?
And when they broke down that gate and everything else. They didn't even cover that. Like, I didn't realize at first in that whole thing that, there was a gate that had been ripped down. There were pictures of that in the aftermath, like everything that came up when it was dismissed.
They're protecting their property. Like, nobody got shot. They're just brandishing guns, and they arrested them on their own property for just showing the mob, hey, we're armed. Don't come in here. Don't break our windows. Don't start fires here.
It's just fascinating. Like, some of these people, again, a person that is related to a witness or somebody that might be a potential witness. I mean, the
Yeah, that's
things, and I do
crazy.
remember that account that took aim at Dr. Turtleboy. I actually saw, I realized how much coverage he was getting in the aftermath of that DUI guy interview because of that. It wasn't just because of, his postings, Dr. Turtleboy's postings, but it was because of the people that were going after him. I thought, my God, you had people that would tell you oftentimes never believe the police, don't listen to them. They need to be defunded. At the same time, they're like rubber stamped, without any of this actually going to trial, without many of them even reading a court document, I'm sure. They were like,
Yeah,
this
this
guy's
is one of the things that, and maybe this is kind of off topic, but Trump's been accused recently of saying something stupid about police immunity, and I agree. I think it was stupid. He said something about how when he's elected, he's going to give immunity to all police officers, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
no,
whoa,
no.
whoa. Are you paying attention to what police officers are doing? Just based on this Karen Reed trial, none of those fuckers ought to ever get immunity for any of this shit. And this is such a and by the way, I was listening to Good Logic the other night. Trump was interviewed at this. He walked into, this would be great to cover sometime, Tug. He went to that black journalist thing,
Oh yeah.
and they lied to him, and they said that Kamala was going to be there, and she wasn't. So it was just 3-on-1, and he showed up, and then they attacked him mercilessly, and he wrecked them all. It was great. It was absolutely great. But one of the things that he screwed up was this question on immunity for police officers. And this was a moment to explain to people, no, like, immunity is not actually necessary. And I don't know why he's taken this stance. Good Logic was talking about it. He's like, if our laws work properly, they don't need immunity. Cops don't need it. If they follow the law, they don't get prosecuted. But if you break the law, you should get prosecuted.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we've
I
seen
hate
police
this immunity
officers.
argument. I hate it.
And he said too, there are police officers that back. We're talking about individuals out here. If people start looking at them as individuals where some people are, God, look at some of the cases that have come up. I remember like Rampart, God, there's so many, there's documentaries on the corruption out there. I can't imagine giving more qualified immunity. It's already one heck of a hurdle. And yeah, I saw some of that. Again, I did not watch the entire trial there. I would get clips, and just in clips as an outside viewer of that trial, I thought, my God, man, some of this stuff is absurd. And apparently apparently the system there agreed. Some of these people were criminal.
Yeah, cops should not be able to break laws. I understand they need to be protected for doing their jobs and not be sued frivolously. But if
Right.
it's a frivolous lawsuit, then that should come out in court. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why they should get more protections than I do. How come I don't get protected? How come you don't get protected, Tug, from frivolous lawsuits? Why don't you have qualified immunity as a member of the media against frivolous lawsuits? We have some slap protections, but it's not. I don't like government agents having a special category of get out of jail free card that none of us get. What makes you so special because you work for the government that you're allowed to have immunity? No, absolutely. Judges shouldn't have it either. No immunity for anybody. Everybody lives up to the same laws. And I just feel like this is a totally losing issue, and I wish he would stop it. I wish he would get off of it, or at least have a more nuanced view, which is, I don't even know. Like, how about just drop the immunity thing? I hate it.
Yeah, the other issue I think that comes up with everything we're seeing with Turtleboy is the face of media. The face of media has changed. We have more and more citizen journalists. I mean, there is no people need to get past this idea too of qualified journalists. What is a qualified journalist? There is no card that I can go out and pick up that says, hey, you too are a journalist. I can go and apply for some credentials. That's different, but I don't have to have it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can join a journalist, I don't know, club, basically. Like there's clubs that you can join. But the government is actually precluded from defining who is a journalist. They're not allowed to do that.
And
for good reason.
Yeah, otherwise we already have too many state propagandists,
Oh, absolutely. Now, I do understand that I see where like the concern comes in. I can give you a perfect example. There were people, and there are still people who will peddle in absolute fake news on purpose for clicks and hits and money, knowing what they report is absolute bunk, and taking advantage of people who are not advanced enough in their understanding to sniff out fake news. And there was one guy in particular who was a convicted stalker. His name was Timothy Holmseth. One of these people who has this alleged website. He calls himself a journalist, and yet he prints nothing but lies about people and about things. And he was the one who actually had that rumor going around about 5,000 children being rescued from underground tunnels in California. Do you remember this? It was like during 2020. And I knew the second I saw that came out, when I traced it back to him, I was like, oh my God, this is a total lie. And I knew that he's the one, he was involved with the Cynthia Absug case and like the Pentagon pedophile task force. He tells people he works for the Pentagon PDF file task force, which doesn't exist. So there are people like this who lead other people to believe these crazy things. That it's almost like he's the Globe. Do you remember the Globe?
I do.
Bat Boy and these crazy stories that just aren't true. And yet we all know that the Globe is for entertainment only, but he doesn't put anywhere on his website that he's for entertainment only. So there's all these people who believe this, and these types of rumors and things go really far and wide to the point, Tug, where people I've seen still believe that 5,000 kids rescued from underground tunnels in California is true. There are people who today would swear to you that was true.
Yeah,
so there is this issue of like, how do you stop that kind of crap?
But they don't stop it in regular media either. I mean, when you see some of the just salacious BS that the media they involve themselves in,
That's true.
I mean,
look what they did to the Covington kids.
Well,
that was so false.
Well, I mean, we saw, Rolling Stone. They got sued over, over a certain sports team. They called them all ARPists, and it turned out to be totally fake. And they got sued for millions because they didn't cover it with that one little word, allegedly. They didn't add it. And the only takeaway the media had from that, I read articles on it because I was fascinated by them getting it wrong, especially when we started talking about false accusations. So when I went back and I read all the articles, the media's the condemnation of it was that they didn't use the word allegedly. Not that they went out and destroyed people's lives. Oh, no, that was okay. It was they didn't use the word allegedly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fascinating to behold. So I mean, but again, that's why people are.
I wrote about that case in my book, Believe Evidence: The Death of Due Process from Salome to #MeToo. You can get it on Amazon, and I actually wrote about that Rolling Stone debacle and that case extensively in that book. You guys should pick it up. It's a good book. It's a good read. Also, Mattress Girl is in there, and all the way the media just runs with these fake stories. It's terrible.
Well, they did that. The Sun and a bunch of other. I can't remember all the outlets. There were half a dozen of them. There was a case that came out of the UK, and there was a guy they pointed at. He had been brought in for questioning in a murder, and they were like, "Hey, look at this guy. He's a weirdo. He's a freak. He's some kind of degenerate. Of course, he's guilty," and he wasn't. He wasn't actually the guy that did this, but they ruined this dude's life. Yeah, and I mean that happens. I covered that, when we were talking about the Sun with the Deb trial. I was trying to get people to understand, media, they get it really wrong. I think, again, that's why you see the rise of citizen journalists, though, because the media keeps getting these cases wrong. And they don't do any work whatsoever. God, sometimes they collude with lawyers. We had leaked emails where it was like, hey, you wanna get an exclusive on this case? Well, here's what you need to write about that. And it was just insane to see it. If somebody were to come to me and be like, yo, this is the way you need to talk about that, I'm sure you too. You'd be like, what the hell? No, maybe I'll write about you doing that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Let's hit some super chats real quick.
Good idea. It feels like it's time, Tug.
It
Time
does
for
indeed.
super chats.
John, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships starting this out, by the way. Appreciate you.
Very
my friend.
generous.
Yes, thank you. All the time. Angel, too. Angel always as well. Thank you
Wow.
for the 10 gifted memberships as well. Kicking off the
Nice.
month with I love Ken. I thought, man, this will kick off, August with an interesting discussion. I thought it would be cool, like, for both of us. 'Cause you've kept up more in
I
the
have,
trial
and I've never
itself.
talked to Aiden, and this was so great because I've kind of only peripherally kept up with what was going on with him, and I will admit that I was like, dude, what is this guy doing? Why is he doing that? I will admit that I was almost like, I don't know, I wouldn't have done that, but really, I thought that he did a great job tonight. That's what I think, and I think he showed there's some real bias going on in his case.
Yeah, definitely. If people look at those actions and they're like, oh man, look at what he did. Okay, well then, are we going to hold everyone accountable that was involved in that? People calling for other people's jobs and everything else. Are we gonna apply that accountability across the board? Or are we going to change up the
Emotional damage is really a weird thing.
Emotional damage.
There's really we're gonna put people in jail for emotional damage to a witness. Really?
Well, when you look up the
2024 is so weird. Okay, it just is.
I'd be curious about the legal definition of upset. How are we defining that? Because think about upset.
What is legal definition?
That means to
Is
make
there?
someone unhappy, to make someone
Wow.
disappointed, worried. Okay, worry. I guess you could go with that. But I mean, again, legally, what does that mean? And then beyond that, embarrassed. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
like, is there even a legal definition for that? I'm not even sure that exists. I've never heard of anything. So Aiden said that his state is the only state that has the emotional component in that witness intimidation rule. And I'm not surprised by that because that's a strange bar to have. I don't even know how you meet that bar. It's so subjective. What's emotional embarrassment, emotional distress, or whatever to a witness? That's too subjective for me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I understand the witness intimidation when we're talking about physical
Threats.
intimidation. Yes.
Threats.
Well,
Yeah, like the
for
mob.
sure.
Okay, so the mob would often do witness intimidation by leaving headless fish wrapped in newspaper on your doorstep, right? That's the message, sleep with the fishes, right? That's intimidate. That's witness intimidation.
Yeah, you got a good family. Be afraid of, I'd be ashamed if they fell down some stairs and broke all their kneecaps. Yeah, that's intimidation.
That's intimidation. Like
Yeah.
we know, like from like I can understand having laws about that, but laws against public speech about witnesses in a state's case that might be total bullshit. The state is bringing charges against an innocent woman, and she is innocent by definition of the law. And
Yeah.
if the public is like, these charges are bullshit and your witnesses are liars, we should be able to say that.
What's
without
fascinating to hear
Worried
about
about
the
being
bill.
put in jail.
Well, the billboard part, I thought
Oh.
that was fascinating.
I didn't know that part. That was so interesting. Like
That's what I want to cover. And like I said, I hate that somebody that covers cases, had all of this pointed at them, and that I didn't really know about that. Not at the time. I didn't. When all the Karen Reed stuff blew up when it was everywhere that I saw that. Because again, I watched Aiden was one of the people that did expose all of the Eliza Blue stuff, and he dug up quite a bit. Actually, there were a lot of people that did that. I don't want to say just one person did that, but he found a lot of crazy stuff attached to Eliza Blue, and yeah, I mean, he did good work with it. So, in hearing this, I thought, wow, I'd like to know more. And I want to read that document. I'd like to cover that on a stream again. He's talking about he's going to cover that himself, and for sure, 100%, he should. If it's aimed at them, he should be the first person covering anything that comes up, 100%. But I do want to sit down. I do want to cover what they're saying was so bad that he needs to face over 100 years.
120 years. Come on. What are we talking about here? That's insane. And it's also, I want to really follow his case and find out what the hell is happening there, and maybe send a press inquiry to them like, hey, when are you going to send this to trial? It's been a minute.
Well, the media didn't link, it was fascinating to look. So after I started hearing more about this, I decided, with anything, oftentimes I'll look at the media and look at the media's response and look at what they say about the specific person. And it's amazing how their stance that they took, considering, a lot of this stuff, it's aimed at them as well. They don't see a problem in that. They don't see how this could be utilized against them. All you have to do is have one wrong think opinion. Again, like he said, if you wanted to go out and you wanted to say whatever about Karen Reed, you don't see, and we've seen clips of that. We've seen people confronting, and we don't see any of those people being arrested.
No, absolutely not. I mean, this is really unprecedented. I don't think I could think of another case where this has happened.
Well, it definitely goes with that word intimidation, because, when you're facing, again, why would you face over 100 years, 120 years? Because people are like, hey, you stop covering this or else. And that is a big or else. That goes beyond the, we talk about life ruination tactics, when people get labeled, an istaphobe or whatever, or going after a job. Now, this is going after your freedom. And
think about this, though, too. Think about this, though, too. Is this... I personally think that the way they've gone after Aiden is a message to other YouTubers in this genre. Like, don't get too invested. Don't get too close. I mean, look, we've seen it happen. It happened in the Kowalski case. Lawn Lumber, Rob, he was mentioned in a motion. The defense attorneys tried to bring his coverage into it as a bad thing. The Eckerd Owens case, me and Dave Neal put into a motion trying to make it, to make the trial not be valid because of our involvement in reporting it. I almost feel like some of this is geared towards the entire genre, all the YouTubers, all the independent journalists who are covering these types of cases to stop doing it.
You remember Brian, all the stuff with Brian Kohlberger, when all of that came up.
Yes.
When there was a specific YouTuber that came under fire, and should have come under fire, by the way, because they were making up stuff. It was insane.
Do you mean the one about, she was a TikToker?
No,
the
there was a... Yeah, no. This is a YouTuber that's still active, actually. Has come back and is active yet again. But they didn't face any kind of legal consequence whatsoever. They stopped talking after a little while because the police and they actually made statements about it. But they didn't face anything. So it fascinates me that you have people like that that didn't face any kind of consequence, and really... They inserted themselves.
You're going to have to privately tell me about that, because I think I missed
I actually
that.
did a video on that at one time.
Did you?
Like way back when, on this guy. And
I'm not familiar with this, and I was following that very closely. I was covering it on my channel. I know about the TikTok psychic who got sued
Oh,
by
yeah,
the
yeah,
university professor that she
yeah,
accused of doing the murders.
yeah.
But I don't know about the YouTuber.
Yeah, he made up like fake evidence. He was saying, well, I can't remember
Oh,
exactly.
oh,
He was.
the audio. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. But you're right. He didn't face any. I know that one. Yes, but he didn't face any actual consequences for that.
So, yeah, my point in all of that is to say that, we've seen people that have done egregious things and they've never come after them this hard. But then again, this is this is a case where he was questioning the police that were involved. He was
Cops,
questioning, yeah.
dirty cops, and not just cops, dirty cops. These are cops who are driving fucking drunk in their squad cars, and that is an undisputed fact. That they're so drunk, they're leaving their guns and their badges in places, and they don't know where. They're so drunk, and then they get in their cars. Oh, and by the way, they're such close buddies that they'll go and rough up some guy that did you wrong on their off hours and got caught for that too. These are bad cops. These are Boston nasty, corrupt bullshit cops who shouldn't be cops in the first place. Like, I'm sorry, but Aiden is, oh God, if I were his family member, I'd be like, please stop. Please don't. But it's too late now because look, he's facing 120 years. That's what happens when you go up against corrupt Boston cops.
Well, they go after your families. I mean, that's a thing that you see. They go after like again, my parents. They had their churches contacted. They had their phones contacted. I mean, it was just wild stuff. There's no line whatsoever. And again, that's not facing off against the system itself. That's just dealing with online craziness. There's this other element, and that alone, we talk about how crazy it is just to cover these things sometimes, and the hate and the vitriol that you face. Well, imagine, again, you question a judge. We've seen plenty of judges that we've questioned there. Imagine you question that judge and they're like, no, you can't do that anymore. You need to go to jail. Or a prosecutor. We talked about that tanning bed incident, and a judge,
Oh God.
a judge backing a prosecutor that recorded a woman in a tanning bed, and
Nothing
all
happened to him.
all these prosecutors though, they back that. Could you imagine, like saying, "Hey, wait a
And
minute,"
Judge Grudge himself.
yeah? And could you imagine
It was
going
his
to?
private time. It was his
Could you imagine
private
going to
time,
jail for
Todd.
that? Could you imagine going to jail for saying, "Oh, that's gross. That's nasty, man. This is wrong."
Right.
Like if they would have gone after that witness, like in that, I mean, it could anything could happen, and we need to. And again, we can be wrong too. That's one of the things that in the U.S. we're supposed to pride ourselves on: the ability to speak, the ability to be wrong sometimes as well. You formulate. I don't formulate my opinion on the fly. I try to formulate it on documents, just like he was saying. You read through. Then he was like, hey, wait a minute. There's a problem here. Look at X, look at Y, look at Z. There is something really wrong. And you voice that. And when voicing that, you're going to come on the radar of people that want to silence that. And allowing them to silence is wrong.
It is scary.
It's scary too. Like if you look at
It's so scary because this is America. We cannot be intimidated into not saying what we think about things. And we can have an opinion that the state fucked up in the Karen Reed case without facing 120 years in jail. Like he has a right to protest wherever he wants. Because if they're not going to take those protesters out from in front of the Petito or the the Laundry House, they're not going to take protesters out from in front of Brett Kavanaugh's house, then why the hell are the McAlberts, why are they protected? But Brett Kavanaugh isn't. That's baloney.
The point I think that comes up too, like when you look at this Gimsingo, for example, imagine needing $200,000 plus. I mean, that might be a drop in the bucket, depending on what the state wants to do with that. I mean, justice isn't cheap. You're facing heavy amounts of money.
Oh no, he's going to need a lot of money.
Oh,
What
yeah.
is it at? I can't read that.
It's at
I need my
$136,679 there.
There
So
we
it's at
go.
about 137,000.
All right,
One
well,
second,
that's good.
I got a kid.
That's
One
good.
more second. I'm gonna.
All right. That's good, but he needs this fully funded, you guys. This is a huge case. This actually will impact all of us on YouTube. The outcome of this will affect every single one of your favorite YouTubers. This is something that we should all be giving to, and I'm going to do it too because dang, this is going to affect all of us, Tug.
My oldest daughter brought me a grilled cheese. She was like, "Hey, you've been
Nice of her.
You're working hard here. Here's just
Aw,
something, you know."
she
I was
made
like,
you a grilled cheese. Isn't she
Yeah, she
only
did.
10?
Yeah, she's
Oh my God,
10,
I don't let my
going on 35.
almost 10-year-old near the stove.
Oh no,
Oh
she
my
made it
gosh.
with she made it with warming up everything. She didn't stove it up. She made it with warming bread and
No, but I mean, I
everything
was
else.
just about to say, you're amazing. That's awesome. Actually, though, my oldest daughter, when she was 10, she was cooking.
Yeah.
It's weird how the younger kids, like down the line, they get less and less capable. I don't know why that is. My oldest was changing diapers at 4 years old for her sister. She was making a sandwich at 4 years old, 4 and 5. Like she was cooking by the time she was 10.
My
That's
oldest,
the oldest.
She came down and she was like, "Dad, I made this because you've been working hard. Also, I did the dishes. That way, you don't have to do that later on." I was
Aw,
like, "Man, that's
give
nice."
that kid a. All right, you need to give her an extra allowance
Oh,
for
no,
that.
definitely.
My daughter
Well,
gave me her leftover crunch wrap, and I'm really excited about that. So I made more crunch wraps than necessary the other night, and I was going to eat that for dinner tonight, but it looked like they were both gone. And my husband told me he ate one. He gave one to my daughter. I went into her room and I was like, "Hey, did you finish your crunch wrap?" She was like, "No, I didn't. I didn't." I'm like, well, if you are not going to finish it, I'll have the rest." And she goes, "No, I didn't eat it. You can have the whole thing." I'm like, "Oh, that's so sweet of you."
I just thought
So.
it's fascinating to see all that. My youngest turns 5 tomorrow. It's crazy to think, man, 5
She's
already
gonna be
too.
5.
Yeah, she's gonna be 5. So, and the oldest, in a couple of months, she turns 11. I'm like, man, she calls it
25.
turning double digit, because it's 1-1, not digits.
1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, "I'm turning double digit," and people will be like, "You already turned double digits." She's like, "No, double digit." I'm gonna be 1-1. I only get so many of those 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty slick,"
They get so big so fast. I've got one who's going into college. Oh dang! I'm gonna get all teary. She's going into
I know, it's
college.
amazing, isn't it?
I got one that's going into high school. Like they're grown, and then the little one, who's not so little anymore, is turning 10 this month in August. So, geez.
It's crazy. It's crazy, like with my littlest. She's grown up around all of this. She was born while, YouTube was around. So it's just amazing to see. I think back, I'm like, man, it's so wild there. But anyway, I got off topic there too. It's just, like, oh, they hit me in the feels. That was nice.
Oh, that was sweet of her. It's so sweet when your children do things for you that are unasked.
So let's read this right here. Let's see what this says. So I'm going to call him Turtleboy. Help Turtleboy defend free speech. So Aiden, a.k.a. Turtleboy, is an award-winning journalist who has uncovered and reported on the cover-up of John O'Keefe's murder and the subsequent framing of innocent girlfriend Karen Reed, while the rest of the mainstream media has chosen not to ask questions directly to conspirators responsible for John's death. Aiden has repeatedly asked them tough questions in person and held peaceful protests in Canton to raise awareness about the cover-up. For having the audacity to speak out against corruption and murder, the state police and the district attorney's office charged him with 8 felony counts of witness intimidation.
My God. 8
that's crazy.
counts.
8 counts. The message sent The message was sent loud and clear. If you exercise your First Amendment rights, expose police corruption, they will send men with guns to your house to arrest you in front of your children's school bus. That was another crazy thing that he brought up. And I've seen this brought up before, them following his children's school bus around. Using them. Oh, well, as a parent, we're going to be able to get him. We're going to do this right in front of your kids. I mean, that's wild, too.
And clear intimidation tactics.
Yep, when they started, because, there is a definite unspoken message with that. When, they can follow your kid around, and again, school buses or... they have access to schools. I mean, that's a frightening message there. But the Commonwealth will be throwing everything at Aiden in an attempt to silence his voice because he's too effective. He needs aggressive, experienced, and competent representation. To that end, we urge you to donate what you can to Legal Defense Fund, which will go toward the expenses related to his legal defense, including legal expert fees and costs. Again, it's raised quite a bit. People see these numbers when they go into six figures and they think, man, that's more than enough. No. It'll be a lot.
No, it's not. They'll use every penny of it, especially because the state is trying to stretch it out. You heard they still haven't set a date for this trial. They're trying not to actually try this. So, yeah. No.
Well, you're also against the state, and the state has limitless resources.
Funds,
yes.
Unlimited funds. If that is one thing that I would change tomorrow if I were Queen of America, I would change the state's budget to prosecute. And I think that would stop so much of the unnecessary prosecutions. I would say this is what I would say. You are responsible for paying whatever you pay in your prosecution, the state must also pay in the defense. So if the defense team can't afford your budget, you have to pay it. And that would stop it immediately.
Well,
because they also we can't blow our budget on that. We're not going to blow our budget. That would stop it, right?
Well, there's also that thing, there's this entire racket on, he brought up expert witnesses in the Karen Reed trial. All these experts, they get paid ungodly amounts of money.
Oh, yeah, huge money.
And it's all, I'm not going to say every expert, there's some good ones out there, but, a lot of that's just God, some people make more money doing that than they ever made in practice. Let's see. I'm going to hit more super chats here, though. Angel, again, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. I got off track. Thank you, Sir John. Again, thank you as well. There were 10 gifted, so there were 25 right off the bat there. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. John also, thanks for the 5. Love seeing the memberships rain down, but this week, got to pay the mortgage. Got to be cool. Well, I appreciate you. I understand that. And thank you, people, for backing too. A lot of the stuff that we cover, I don't know how this one will be, but for a lot of stuff that we cover, yeah, we it's not looked at favorably by platforms.
Nope.
You go out and cover celebrity drama all day long, but you start talking about something that actually matters. And yeah, the media also, what's disgusts me about the media too is they have an open hand in covering whatever. They're favored in the algorithms. They can, they 100% monetize, so sponsor dollars, they're totally getting all of that. And look at what they do. They do half-assed research or none at all. And
don't even go to the trial. They don't even sit in the trials that they are covering.
See, that's like a lot of us, we at least network into people that are going, like again, for the Clayton Eckerd thing, like yourself, you, Dave Neal, you guys went. And then for people like myself that are here, I network with you guys that are there so I can get updates. I know what's going on. So the cases that we cover, and it's amazing too. The media themselves, a lot of quote-unquote journalists will take aim at folks like you or me or whomever, and they'll say, oh, my God, look at how much time you dedicate to that. That's wrong. You keep covering it, and it's like, for real? You know? So it's wrong to continue covering and continue to investigate a theme. That just boggles my mind too. Jason,
That's
thanks for the
never
there.
wrong.
No, never. Jason, thanks for the vibe. But it's quote unquote just a few bad cops, cry cops, and bootleggers, meth busted. Come at me back at the blue, bootleggers. I got names to name. You know, I think there are incidents where the police face insane stuff. I've had very good interactions with police for myself locally. Great stuff, you know, there. But at the same time, there are terrible cases that we see. And yeah, people need to be able to separate that, and they need to be able to look at each case accordingly. You don't just take a hardline stance and say everybody is one or the other. No,
No, but I have a friend who's an investigative reporter in Chicago, and he has done a lot of these cases of bad cops. And he laughs every time somebody says, "Oh, the bad cops are few and far between." The thing that he says is, and I think this is so true, one bad apple spoils the bunch. Now, this is a saying, and you know it's true when you have a bad apple. You know, the rest of them around it go bad. The problem with bad cops in this country is not that we have so many of them, it's out of control. It's that the good cops around them don't turn them in. And what does that make them? Well, they're not really good anymore, are they? If they don't. They're rotten, just like the other rotten apple. And we've got to get past a point in this country where we think that, oh, well, the bad cops, they're just few and far between. No. Every good cop around a bad cop is obligated to turn them in. If you know something, say something. Do not be, because if you don't, you're just as bad. And that's the problem we have. That's the real epidemic, is the good cops who just don't say anything. That makes them bad.
I mean, we have plenty of document. The 7-5 is a very good documentary if people have never checked that out. It talks about police corruption. It actually interviews a bunch of police that, some of them spent real time in jail. And, we have Rampart. Rampart was a massive scandal. And you look at how many police were involved. We're talking hundreds of police that are involved in some of this. And they were operating, Rampart was compared to a gang with badges. You know, they were supposed to be out there gang controlling, and instead they were running drugs. They were framing people. People were killed. I mean, that was just absolute insanity. You know, one of those Rampart people, by the way, was one of the people that linked up with all the craziness involving Amber Heard. You know, the stuff that was pointed at Paul Barisi, one of the guys, the witness for Albertini. That guy that signed off on all of that, he was one of the people indicted. He spent time, I can't remember how much time for the Rampart. Yeah, you should look. I can't remember his name, but you should look him up.
I don't know anything about this Rampart scandal, but apparently there was a movie made about it with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. The movie didn't really do justice for it, unfortunately.
It didn't?
No. I mean, it
wasn't any good.
Not really. I mean, the Rampart scandal, it was, it involved I think it was called Crash. Crash. So it was community resources against street hoodlums. It was supposed to be, there were like 70 officers, if I'm not mistaken, that were indicted in that.
Yeah, 70. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, you're talking,
It led to the overturning of 100 criminal convictions and cost the city of Los Angeles an estimated, get this, $125 million in settlements. Yes. Make the government pay. Make the government pay for their shit.
Have you ever seen the 7-5? Have you ever seen that documentary? If not, watch it. You need to, for sure.
The 7-5?
Yeah, 7-5. And this is about a group of cops. You know, there were. It focuses on a handful of police officers, but there's certain parts in there. They were talking about, hundreds of cops being let go. And the fire department was complaining because police would go in, they would take ladders from them because they were breaking into
Oh my God.
they were breaking into drug dens.
Oh
They
my
were going in.
God.
Yeah, at the time they were going after cocaine and they were going after the money because it was free flowing. But the 7.5, yeah, oh my Lord. Some of the stuff, again, these guys, they served prison time, but they were
So
working.
Rampart is in LA and the
7.5 is in
7.5
New
is in
York.
New York.
Yeah.
Like, so each one of this, and the Karen Reed case is in Boston, Massachusetts. So basically, and in Chicago, it was the Hobart prison thing. Chicago has its own horrible police scandal of police abusing people and forcing confessions through beatings and all sorts of stuff. You guys, you've seen Christmas Vacation every year, probably, right? I watch it with my kids, the Christmas Vacation with National Lampoons, right?
Hmm.
There's a nod to the Chicago cop corruption in that movie that if you're not from Chicago, you might not know. But it's at the end where the one police officer says to Clark, "Man, if I would beat you with a rubber hose." He says that, and everyone from Chicago laughs uproariously at that line. But that's based on a real scandal in Chicago at the Hobart prison where they would beat the suspects with rubber hoses so they wouldn't leave marks, and telephone books so they wouldn't leave marks, and then they would beat confessions out of them. It was a horrific scandal that rocked Chicago. But my father used to say that. He used to say, "I'll beat you with a rubber hose." It was a joke in Chicago. That's how bad it was.
That's wild,
by the way,
man.
my dad never beat me with a rubber hose. That was just
Right.
that was a
Right.
joke. I just want to put that out there, like he was joking.
Right.
But that's how big of a joke it was. It made it into that movie, and then but it also is in the vernacular of people in Chicago because this police scandal was so big, and all these poor people were, and they served multiple year jail sentences for confessions that were tortured out of them.
There was a police officer when I was a teenager. There was a police officer everyone avoided. They were like, "Oh man, if this guy's on duty, he'll try to pull you over," and he would shake people down. So it became like this unspoken or spoken secret. It's one of those. I always hate that too. Because people know about it, and yet. So anyway, this guy gets caught later on. He was selling guns that had been confiscated. He was trading them for drugs, and he didn't face any charges. He actually said it was an undercover sting that he had initiated on his own, and he was compiling evidence for. And they were like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That
Wow.
totally makes sense." Yeah, it was crazy though. I mean, you see this on an individual level. You see it on a massive level, and again, the whole point in there is you have to look at this individual at least when you look at law enforcement, but sometimes systemically there really is a problem. Some of these places, again, I encourage anyone that has never watched the 7.5. It's fascinating to hear police officers talk about how they were working for a drug lord. There was a guy who broke into this place, this guy's cocaine warehouse, and stole a bunch of money. He was a junkie, and this cop and another guy found him, brought him back to this guy, and he disappeared. He was never seen or heard from again. Yeah, and I don't know if they ever faced any kind of charges for that either. There were charges for a lot. In fact, the guy in the 7.5, the main guy, testified in front of Congress. It was so bad. I mean, it was a big deal.
The Chicago guy's name was John Burge. He was found guilty of torturing of 118 people at least to force false confessions on the south side of Chicago. Absolutely horrifying what they did. And it wasn't so he was the top cop at the time. He was the commander. So every cop under his command participated. What does that tell you? This stuff is widespread. And frankly, the Black community has a huge point where this is concerned.
Yeah, false allegations. That's why
it is
false
their
allegations.
community that has suffered the most under this bad cop syndrome. So I think it's a big mistake, huge mistake for Trump to be all, oh, let's give cops immunity. What? Do you know nothing about the history of police? We need to give our police more guidelines, more guardrails.
Come on,
Not
body cam
less.
footage. Don't be able to turn
Yeah.
that thing off. Never turn
Right.
it off. You know, it should monitor you while you're on duty the entire time. You shouldn't have the option to silence it or cover it
Nope.
up. You know, if you do, there should be a damn good reason, like it fell off because you were struggling. You know what I mean? There should be no way to remove it. It should be hardwired into your vests. I mean,
And good cops ought to have no problem with that.
yeah, they should be turning that over.
Cameras protect them too. Now, I know that there's like arguments about Derek Chauvin and some of the things that were caught on camera where there's still people who disagree. Personally, I watched that footage. And I know that George Floyd had drugs in his system. I still think it was ridiculous to kneel on a guy for 9 minutes who's clearly not moving.
I just think
I
there's a
don't get that.
basis for people questioning police. It's
Absolutely.
yeah. You know,
They should not have immunity. Can you imagine? No. Blanket immunity? No.
There's actually a case on YouTube. So there was a guy who the police went to his home because he was supposedly wanting to off himself when the police arrived there.
Let me guess. They killed him.
No, he actually there was a firearm. He did have a firearm because he was wanting to harm himself, right? And when he was there, he turned his back to the police, so it's totally just his back that you could see in footage and everything. You know, he wasn't pointing anything, nothing like that. They opened up on his back. Okay, well then his father started asking questions. And there's a video of where a police officer pulls up to the father and he starts trying to provoke a fight with him. He's telling him, how basically he's bringing up his son. He's bringing up what happened. The cop's saying, like, maybe we should have finished that off. It's wild. And the footage is out here on YouTube. It was brought up. And I don't know if they ever settled that case, but it was just, it's terrible stuff. You know.
There's enough out there to show us that police need policing too.
Yeah.
And there has to be a happy medium. There are good cops who would never behave that way. If you guys want to be outraged, look up Duncan Lemp and what happened to him. A lot of people don't talk about, there's a lot going around about, cops shooting at black people, and that's true. They also shoot at white people. Duncan Lemp is one of them.
You remember that exterminator that? So it was right after that Las Vegas mass shooting. So there was an exterminator, and he had like a 22, for killing rats. And I think it was 20, maybe BB. I can't remember. It's either 22 or BB. Regardless, it was in his. It was in his hotel room. There'd been calls about it, so the police, they sent a SWAT team. They confront him. He's in the hallway. They tell him to get down on his knees, and basically,
Good
put his
Christ.
hands behind. Yeah, he's supposed to crawl toward him.
He had I saw that.
Yeah,
Jesus,
and
I
he goes
hate
to
that
pull his
video.
pants up. His pants are falling down, and he continually he's trying to pull his pants up. It's like this reaction, people have, and they ended up executing him in a hallway, and nothing happened.
In a hail of bullets. Like, here's an unarmed guy crawling towards you. He's doing everything you tell him to do. Same thing with Duncan Lemp. Same thing. Duncan Lemp, same story. And his family went through so much shit. And the police they've never been held accountable for what happened there. Completely innocent man gunned down by police. I have someone in my own family who was gunned down by police who was innocent. Like, police should never have immunity. If they are following the law, then they are fine. But if they are not following the law, then fuck them and put them in jail. Okay?
Even when,
I'm
they
sick
find
of
it.
this.
Well, they find that they followed the law, and it's like, are you kidding me? We saw the footage,
No, how could they find that they followed the law in that case? You see that, Tug, that's immunity. They're saying because
qualified immunity, you have to get past that hurdle before you can even take any of these
they
folks
shouldn't
to
have that.
court.
They shouldn't have qualified immunity. They should not have that. that the reason why they found that they were fine was because they were acting as police officers when the incident occurred. That's immunity.
Yeah.
They're like, well, was he wearing a badge? Well, yes, he was. Well, then he's not guilty. Well, that's bullshit.
I just hate that, things socially and politically become so polarized that it's either all or nothing. Again, there should be not an all or nothing. It should be individual.
Well, yeah, McCrae's got a great point. McCrae says, I feel bad for cops that only have a split second to decide what to do. It's such a hard job. True. And here's a great example. That one officer, I don't remember her name, but she was a woman who thought she was grabbing her taser, but she grabbed a gun instead. But she was yelling, taser, 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 pulls out the gun instead and fires the gun and kills the suspect. She went to jail. That's a case that is very clearly a mistake, and she should never have gone to jail for that. And that was a wrong conviction. Clearly, it was wrong.
Unfortunately.
But in Derek Chauvin's case, I could see how a jury would find him guilty.
Well, unfortunately, they talk about the response of the police officers. And yes, it is I would not want to be a police officer. No way whatsoever. But, we should look at it on the other side, too. Citizens, they don't know how to respond. We're not highly trained in something. Even when following orders, oftentimes terrible things happen, because you're given conflict, like crawl on the ground, put your hands at, and you can't do all these things at one time. It just it doesn't work. But anyway, I'm going to super chatty. I ran all about this all night. Oh, no. I mean, it is
it's a good topic, though, because it really does. It affects all Americans. Well, this is something we need to talk about.
It works into this case because, part of this is we're seeing in the aftermath of Karen Read that the behavior of the police was seen as so egregious that Internal Affairs, they began investigating people, and like Turtleboy said, certain cops, that it's going to be a matter of when, not if, there will be firings.
Troopa Procta was searching for nudes on Karen Read's phone. Think about it, folks. You're being investigated for murder, and the cop that's investigating you is searching your fucking phone for nudes. Is that the America you want to live in? Is that the cop you want on your case? Fuck him. He should never hold a badge ever again.
It's just wild, man. The stuff that we saw. Again, I saw clips. I really thought about going back and looking at that trial, especially since, the way that it ended. I thought it would be an interesting, go back and review, maybe through streams or something. I don't want to watch the entire case. Maybe I do. I don't know yet. Maybe I do want to watch it all. Oh, my God. Pandora, though. Pandora Fox, things we do. My birthday present came early. Hey, Tug and Turtleboy. So, it's your birthday or your early birthday present? Happy birthday to you. I'll sing you that Chi-Chi song. Happy birthday from all of us to you.
Happy birthday. God, I hate the happy birthday song. I wish we had a better song. It sounds like a funeral dirge. Happy birthday to you. It's horrible. It's so bad. I don't know why it's so bad, but I wish we had a new one. I want a different birthday song.
The Chi-Chi's thing. My mom used to take me down there because, back in the day, it was there's big Mexican.
I love Chi-Chi's.
And they would for birthdays, they would embarrass the hell out of you, and they would take they had a sombrero. It was ridiculous. It was as big as 3 people, and they'd stick this thing on you, and they'd sing and dance around you. And
oh, that's funny. My husband would hate that. He hates that so much. Well, if anyone ever tells someone at a restaurant it's his birthday, he will get up and leave. He'll get up and leave.
I used to do that too. I would tell a person, when we go in, I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna, I'll pay for a dessert or whatever, just whatever I need to. But I think it'd be funny. It's not their birthday, but I want it to be their birthday. I'll make sure to tip well. Everything else. Can we have it to be their birthday. Yeah.
We hate the birthday song so much that we play the Lumineers birthday song on everybody's birthday in my house because we like that one better.
That's hilarious.
I know. But
it works for
hate
kids, you know. The only people that respond well are like my 5-year-old. She's been, you know, making me sing the happy birthday song to her every time I run into her for the last week, you know, every single time. Like, she's like, is it my birthday today, Dad? I'm like, no, sing me the happy birthday song. You know,
it's tomorrow.
Yeah. So in a few hours.
And we're getting our, it'll be our foreign exchange birthday tomorrow. Because we're getting our foreign exchange student from Korea tomorrow.
That'll be fascinating.
She has already left. I got a notice that she's boarding, and we will be picking her up tomorrow night. We're very excited. That's why I have a new studio and everything, because the girls have to move in together. My middle daughter is Fairy's giving up her room to the South Korean student. And it's very exciting. We have lots of stuff going on. We've had all kinds of construction. We have had a bathroom redo and all kinds of stuff getting ready for an entire year. I'm going to have 4 children tomorrow.
That's
for the next year.
Too. That's going to be interesting to hear about and everything too.
I know, right? Like I don't think I was prepared for 4 children until this week. I was like, holy shit, I have another child coming. Someone else's child from another country that I'm responsible for is terrible.
That's another level too. Yeah,
it's
not
terrifying.
just a child.
It's terrifying because like I just feel the gravity of it, you know? I don't know.
Master Gala, thanks for the 5 there. I'll mention this to Turtleboy as well. So the VTuber that's rising in popularity, Kurt. I've actually talked to Kurt on Flashcast. It was actually a very good discussion. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought, you know, I've not dealt with a lot of VTubers, but anytime I have, it's been interesting. You know, the VTuber community gets a lot of they get the stereotype around them. You know, it's this thing or that thing, and that's not true. I mean, so Kirsch does a good job, but Kirsch would love to interview Turtleboy about this too. She watches his stuff and is deeply interested. She should reach out and see if she could make contact as well, because. But I'll mention that too if she asks. So I'll follow up on that for sure. Squid, what's up, Squid? Thanks for the 20 there. D.A. Morrissey should be sanctioned and disbarred for the unethical video he put out crying about everyone protesting the case. He basically said evidence for Karen's guilt was, trust me, bro, disgraceful and disbarred.
No. Is that video somewhere? Where is this video? I'm dying to see that.
Yeah, I'd like to actually.
I want to see that. That would be hilarious.
If somebody links it in there, if you get a hold of it, Megan, let me know. I know, because I kind of want to see that now.
So the chat was kind of talking about my foreign exchange student. I know, I'm so excited about her. I bought her some, on Jeff's advice, legal advices, by the way, because he lives in Busan. I asked him, what could I get for her that would make her feel more at home? And he told me to buy her metal chopsticks. So while I was in Epcot, and I was in, I think, China, in Epcot, they had these beautiful metal chopsticks. So I bought her some, and I'm going to give those to her. But apparently metal, we always use wood here, but metal is what they use in South Korea. So
what you should do, you know, to make her feel at home, you should plug legal devices for her every day. You know, like that.
Right? I know.
You know,
I can't wait to introduce her to Jeff in Busan, because he can speak Korean to her. So I might do that. I might get them on a call together.
He super chats and squiggles and everything. I mean, it's fascinating. Christine thinks it's in. I thank you for covering though this needs to be exposed. YouTube over mainstream media all day long. And indeed, you know, and the beautiful thing about it is that for this, you see the rise of citizen journalists. You know, a lot of us really do. We do much more investigative journalism than you see out there. Because, again, you have these networks that cover cases, but all they do, they cover every single case that comes up. And every now and then, I mean, they have a few people that work there that do invest and investigate. But by and large, no. That's always been the flaw with places like Court TV. I remember as a kid watching Court TV. I know you watch it come on, watch trials like Casey Anthony, for example.
Right.
You know, when you think back, they didn't really know anything outside of the courtroom. They never read documentation. They never looked at what was there. You know, everything came as a shock. They were watching it just like you were. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, but I would like an informed opinion. You know, when people are discussing something, I do like having informed opinions too. Crystal, thanks for the 22 months. Thank you, Dr. Turtleboy, for standing for something. I've been waiting for this trio. Love y'all. I didn't say y'all. I didn't say y'all, but I typed it. I hear you. AKA the Cat Lady. Thanks for the month there. We support Turtleboy. Freaking hero here. Yeah, it's been interesting, you know. The more and more I've seen, again, he has his detractors, and people are totally fine being detractors of somebody. You can have a different opinion. It's just, God, some of the things. Again, a strung up turtle, for example.
Oh my God, that picture. I can't get it out of my head. I'm sorry I ever saw it.
Well, what sucks is if I brought that up on a stream, you know, that would be a problem. But
it happened to him in real life.
Yeah.
To his parents after his mother died.
Yeah, 2 days after.
Then there's people saying he did that to his own parents? Like, what's wrong with you? That you would think someone would do that to his own parent, his own father after losing his mother. Come on. I don't know if you ever seen a turtle hung, but that's what they did. They hung a turtle, a real tortoise, like a big tortoise, on his father's porch.
Yeah, that image is, you know.
I can't get it out of my head. It's horrible.
Well, that's the thing I try to hammer into people. You know, we see the picture, and the picture's horrible, but the stuff that's going on, you know, people deal with that stress day to day, minute to minute. You know, and it's for covering a story. Man, crazy. Jason, thanks for the 10 there. Megan, here in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. I've been arrested for the same thing as Turtleboy for exposing cops here. And they're crying that they, quote, fear for their lives now. You have my email address already.
Jason, I'm not sure I do. I don't remember getting this email, so send me another one and put in the subject line, I don't know, from Tugstream, and I'll read it.
Yeah.
It's possible that I didn't see it or I ignored it.
It just doesn't register. Yeah, I mean, we get
a lot of
dozens.
emails, and I have to like scan through. So email me again.
Class Mama, thanks for the 20 there. My 3 favorite Justice Warriors all in one place. Thank you, Tug, for this epic collab. Feels like my Umbrella Brother. Umbrella Brother.
Megalodonus.
Megalodonus. What's up? Megalodonus. Sister. And of course, Turtle Daddy have joined forces. Let's create
Turtle Daddy. You know, it's weird how the turtle stories kind of intertwine. We've got Tortoise Queen on one side and Turtle Boy on the other. I see there's like a common thread.
No, you know what's funny is you have a fox, a turtle, and an umbrella. It sounds like a joke making itself, you know?
It does. It does.
Yeah, a fox, a turtle, and an umbrella wander into a hat rack.
Wander into a hat rack. Hat rack, R-A-K, rack.
Good times, fun
times.
Oh,
good times.
McCrae, thanks for the 10 there. As another owner of a GSD, I will say that mine is a bit elderly. 9, he doesn't wake up for things like he used to. I still don't believe those marks are dog bites, though. I think she was taken.
Those marks were absolutely claw and bite marks. I'm sorry, but I have a GSD. I know what those claw marks look like because I've had them on my own arm. Not bloody, but raised and red welts. You know, when you have a German Shepherd, like you sign up for a beast in your house. A beast. Not they're not like any other dog. They are a beast in your house. And if you want to get down and play with your dog, you're going to come up with welts. Okay? You're going to come up with welts. You don't have I grew up in a house with big dogs, so I'm prepared. Don't get a German Shepherd unless you're prepared to have welts and bite marks on your arm. I have played with my dog multiple times, several dogs that I've had, and you get bite marks, scratch marks, all kinds of shit on your arms. They love to bite on your arms, like as a plaything. I have had those same marks on my arms, like with claw mark. My dog, when I rub his belly, he claws my arms. Like he will claw me, and I'll be like, "God damn! Like what? Why would you do that?" But he does. Like he does. Like you have to be prepared for that when you have a German Shepherd, because my dog's 110 pounds. Like he's gonna fuck you up. Period. He's gonna fuck you up, if you're playing or not playing or whatever. He's gonna fuck you up. Today I had to he had a wound on his back I was trying to deal with, and he was trying to bite me, and I was like, stop it. You have to be willing to take the bite with these guys, for real. And like he's putting his teeth on me and like biting down, and I'm like, stop it. And then he'll stop, and then he'll do it again. I'll stop. But you come out of that with marks, and I know what they look like. And damn it, those were dog bites and dog scratches.
You know what's really strange about how, when I saw the discussion about charges and how the jury, the hung jury, it's amazing sometimes to see how people, they focus. Like they're like, oh, well, look at, 2. The jury was blah and blah. And I was like, well, what about 1 and 3? If the jury's unanimous on something, are we just, I wonder how that's going to go. Like, I wonder.
Oh, that motion, frankly, I think the motion was ironclad. If you need to pull the jurors, bring them back. Bev made a huge mistake that she didn't pull them, because 2 of those charges should be not guilty. She should not stand for 2 of those charges. They can only charge her on the 1 that they were hung on.
It'll be crazy if you have a unanimous on 1 and 3, and they do decide that they're gonna treat that like, well, we get another go at it anyway.
That's riots. I'm not saying you should riot, but I'm saying that's one of those times when riots, I wouldn't be mad at.
Yeah, when people need to be vocal, definitely.
No, really, like where you need to stand up and say no, that's bad. If a jury of her peers said not guilty on 2 counts, it's not guilty.
Right.
20 memberships. Holy crap, Tease T.
Yep. Tease T, I know. Thank you for the 20 memberships there.
He is so generous.
Yep. I've got Tease T, Angel, John. I mean, man, you folks again. I
Does Tease T actually have tea? Is this a tea company?
Maybe Tease T drops the tea. I don't know.
Or he drops the tea. Gotcha. Or she.
I don't know exactly. I'm not sure, but yeah, if they're a company, I'd love to know that too, for sure.
I'd like to know. I like tea.
And Rose Lee, thank you for the gifted membership too. Appreciate that. Thank you, Rose Lee. Yeah, I've never accepted I've been looking, I'd been hit up by a couple of sponsors that intrigued me. I've never accepted a sponsor, so I'm curious about things like that too. SF, thanks for the 5 there. What about his right to speedy trial? When does that clock start ticking?
Yeah, I wish we had asked him that, because I'm sure he is not wave speedy.
I'm sure.
You know what? They'll delay. We will ask him. I'll ask him that, because that's a great question.
Well, that's a way, you know, if they delay and they cost you more and more money, that's one of the ways they can also, they try to force you to take pleas, you know. They throw 100+ years at you, you know, they try to force you into something. Oh, look at us, you know, oh, we're so magnanimous. I mean, yeah, here, you know, here, why don't you just take this lesser thing? And they do, you know, because a lot of people, they feel the financial push. They feel the time. They feel the stress. Because time, it comes with stress, you know. Oh, that's when you deny somebody their right to a speedy trial. You know, you make them sit and stew. It's nasty. Jenny, thanks for the month there. Please look into Sandra. Was that Birchmore case?
Sandra Birchmore. I've never heard of this case. Okay, hold on. I kind of feel like that name is familiar, though. Same cops? Really? Oh my gosh. Really?
That might be fascinating to look up.
Oh, Doug, do we have a new trial to watch? Is this televised? Sandra, police chief profoundly disturbed by new information in death of pregnant Massachusetts woman. Oh, good God.
Yeah, I see that. 1 month ago. Huh. I'll have to look into this because that seems...
We will. If the same cops are involved, I have questions.
Yep.
Because I don't think that they are reliable, shall we say?
Well, right now I'm in a place where I'm looking at it for something that interests me. You know, we have the Clayton Echard trial. You know, again, we have stuff that's still going on there. But as far as the trial is concerned, we saw the decision. We saw everything that came in on that. Now I'm curious. I want to look at something else while everything is at its point. You know, we have the stuff that goes on with what the hells, but again, you know, we're at a specific place with all of the stuff that's going on with that. So I feel like there's time to look at something. Oh man, I forgot to mention too. This is random, but did you see all the newest stuff with the Mr. Beast mess?
No. The newest stuff?
So,
no.
Yeah, so you know there was 500,000 messages that ended up out from those servers. Well, apparently all of that got taken down from a website.
Oh, I saw that it was re-uploaded, so I thought maybe it got taken down. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, you know, there's a discussion, we haven't seen it yet, but there was discussion about cease and desist sent. And we know that a cease and desist has indeed been sent. So that YouTuber that did the Mr. Beast is a fraud video, again, you can think whatever you want on that. But that person ended up getting a cease and desist, and they're threatening legal action against them. So that's yeah, they were an ex-employee. They're threatening to kick in a non-disclosure agreement. They're threatening with cease and, you know, and again, it's like we discussed. Illegal activity is not protected by NDAs, but at the same time, well, you got to go to court. You have to spend a lot of money to say, hey, we can do that. There's actually some stuff when we live stream again, like I want to show you. That's just crazy that's come up with all of that. So let's see, I got that one. McCrae, thanks for the 10. The best evidence to me is Garrett Wing, who is a former cop, who looked into this and decided this was cops being dirty. He was a canine handler and knows what he's talking about. Garrett Wing.
Oh.
I'll have to look him up.
Garrett Wing. I haven't heard of him, but I wouldn't doubt it because anybody who's ever dealt with German Shepherds knows what they're looking at when you see those wounds. I've had scratch marks on my own arm that look like that just from playing with my dog. Okay. Just from playing with him. You have to be, you know, I taught my dog, by the way, to attack an arm on command. And you put, you know, something on your arm to make them do that. And so that you don't get, you know,
I'll
mauled.
have to look through all that. We used to train dogs for attack dogs. We actually trained canines And one time when I was a teenager, you'd put the attack sleeves on, and the body bite shields. He'd put all that stuff on, and we'd train them to find a ball with certain scents on them, depending whether they were supposed to be substances or it was supposed to be like them looking for something that's deceased. So. Yeah, I remember that very well.
And it's not hard to train them to do that because it's natural to them.
Yeah, they like it. It's
hard.
a game. It's a game for them,
And when they're puppies and they're in that bitey stage and they're wanting to bite everything, it's very easy. You just, when they're doing that, you give them your forearm and you give them a command, fuss, fuss, fuss. And they do it. Like they just do it. They just know. Like we call them like little baby dinosaurs for a reason, because like they're like these little velociraptors. When they're little, they just want to bite everything because they're teething and whatever. But German shepherds, they're very aggressive. They are, and you have to train that either out of them or you train into it, right? I'm sorry, I saw those marks on his arm and I was like, oh, dog bites. Dog scratches. No shit. I've had the same marks on my own arm from the scratches from my dog when he's playing. Like, I just don't know how a jury looked at that, heard that there was a German Shepherd involved, and didn't go, yeah, those are dog scratches. I guess nobody on the jury, or at least a couple of them, didn't ever own a dog. Just pisses me off. She should be free right now, a free woman.
He sent over that document, by the way. I was looking at it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Should we look at it now?
I think he's covering it tonight. I don't want to look at it yet.
Oh, okay.
It's his document later. First, so yeah. I don't. That's one thing I try to respect in that. Again, nobody. I don't want to say that people are obligated to that coverage, but man, if something's aimed at me, I'm going to be the first. I'm not going to step on like you talking about something that is aimed specific. Yeah, because that's part of also fundraising. He needs to be able to put together a defense. He needs to be able to make sure that he can get his side out there and talk about the ridiculousness and the absurdity of some of it. If he feels that way, and some of it, again, he read, that sounds very ridiculous. So we'll definitely look it over, though, for sure.
I want to read that for sure. Maybe Tuesday or whatever.
So Rio, baby, thanks for 23 months. I think Bev needs some looking into.
That judge was just lazy. Lazy as shit. That woman was like, I'm tired. I want to go home. Like, that was her entire focus of the entire thing. I'm tired.
So that video, by the way, that was discussed, the D.A. Morrissey statement, I actually have that. The one
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. Give me a second. I want to pull that up. So give me a minute. It'll take me a minute, though. I got to pull it out in an email and stuff and situate it, but it's been sent to me. Thank you, by the way. Oh, my goodness. What a bunch of crazy. See, this is what the craziness attracts me in cases, I have to say. Like when I look at a case and I think, my Lord, and we deal a lot with false allegations. We deal with a lot of just insanity. Absolute insanity.
Total insanity.
Let's see. Let me make sure the sound is on this. I've almost got it set for people. I want to hear this. I've never seen this, by the way, so this will be a first look at what's said here. Okay.
I can't believe this is real. I can't believe this is real.
Give me 1 second. I got a little one, and then we'll do it.
All right. Somebody told me to look up the Canton 9, and I just did. It says supporting the Canton 9. On November 5th, 2023, the Canton 9 were exercising their First Amendment rights to free speech and protest on Washington Street in Canton. This is a basic right afforded to them under the Constitution of the United States. The protest was peaceful, did not disrupt traffic, and did not disrupt normal business in the area. They were approached by Canton police and told they would not be able to protest there. as the business across the street was occupied by a potential witness in the John O'Keefe murder trial. The protesters held their ground as there was no basis for the interaction, but left shortly after no arrests were made. Earlier this week, they all received a summons to appear in court for a potential felony charge of witness intimidation and an additional charge of picketing a judge, juror, court. This is outrageous. Oh my God.
Are we ready
I
for
didn't
this?
even know this. There's a
What?
whole side thing of the Canton 9 other picketers who got charged with shit in the Karen Reed case. I know. I just found it.
Oh my God.
I have to send this to you.
Okay, yeah, send it over. I want to see all that. You know, we'll have to start looking into all this.
They're called the Canton 9. I didn't even know about this.
That's wild stuff. Let's play this. Let's see how the response to this went.
This will be the first statement of its kind in my dozen years as Norfolk District Attorney. The harassment of witnesses in the murder prosecution of Karen Reed is absolutely baseless. It should be an outrage to any decent person, and it needs to stop.
Wait, stop.
Innuendo is not evidence.
Wait. Go back to what he said, the very first sentence. Go back.
I'll just start it.
Go back.
This will be the first statement of its kind in my dozen years as Norfolk District Attorney. The harassment of witnesses in the murder prosecution of Karen Reed is absolutely baseless.
Stop. The harassment of witnesses in the Karen Reed trial is absolutely baseless. That's right. It is. Totally baseless. The harassment of witnesses in the Karen Reed murder trial is absolutely baseless.
So this came up what?
Don't know grammar.
This came up this broadcast, by the way, was for NBC 10 Boston and was uploaded 4 months ago. So just a note.
I just want to point out this man is reading this. He wrote this. He wrote that the harassment of witnesses in the Karen Reed murder trial is absolutely baseless. You know what that means? That means there is no witness intimidation. They don't even know what they're saying. Just saying.
That's crazy.
I caught
it should
that
be an
right
outrage to any decent person, and it needs to stop. Innuendo is not evidence.
Happening.
False narratives are not evidence. However,
you're not presenting evidence. That's the thing too. You know, innuendo is not.
Where's their evidence?
Well, where are you presenting evidence? Are we in a courtroom presenting evidence? I didn't realize that.
And I like that he said this is the first time we've ever made a statement like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then that should tell you something.
Yeah,
There's
it's fascinating
bad
considering
going on.
Everything that's happened ever and dozens of years. Okay. Huh.
But what evidence does show is that John O'Keefe never entered the home at 34 Fairview Road in Canton the night he died.
That's not what the evidence shows, because it shows that he went up and down stairs. And there are no fucking stairs on the lawn of that house. But there are stairs from the basement to the first floor of the house. Just saying.
So this was uploaded before the trial? Is that?
I don't know. Is
it?
What's the date?
Because if it is, you know, part of the whole idea of going out and potentially contaminating the jury pool.
The jury pool. What's the date on the video?
It's 4 months ago. Let me see.
Ashley says
March
it's in
31st.
2023. So that would be before the trial. Pre-trial.
Okay, okay, here's the date. The original date,
Holy
yes. Okay,
shit.
I see it. So the original published date was August 25th, 2023. Yes, so indeed. I mean, this is potentially contaminating. Actually, this is contaminating the jury pool.
The jury pool. The thing that they accused Aiden of doing. And by the way, who is Aiden to contaminate the jury pool with a billboard? Who is he? He's not the state. He's not someone contracted with the state. He doesn't have anything to do with the jury pool. This is bullshit.
Well, the state is making statements as if, again, like you said, and I thought this was a very apt statement, innocent until proven guilty.
Unless, not even until, unless.
Yeah, that's true.
Proven guilty.
In a court of law, not in the court of public opinion. So making statements like this as if this is an already decided matter.
Shit, this is bad.
Location data from his phone, recovered from the lawn beneath his body when he was transported to the hospital.
Oh my God.
Shows that this phone.
Oh my God. This guy is putting out facts to the public before the trial. Oh my God, disbar him. Disbar him right now. I want him disbarred.
That's
why did not enter that home. 11 people have given statements that they did not see John O'Keefe enter the home at 34 Fairview that night.
Fuck you.
0 people have said that they saw him enter the home. 0. No one.
Fuck you. You can't
Some
try
have,
your case
without
in the
any-
public. Fuck you. Like what?
Well, that's what he's doing.
Oh my God.
He's using state resources. And he's trying this in the public. That's wild. Well, it's just wild. He's saying, I've never done anything like this before. That should say something, too. Maybe you're doing something wrong, my friend. Maybe you're doing something really bad.
If you've never done this before, you should ask yourself, should I really do it now? You're the state.
Evidence pointed to 18-year-old Colin Albert, a nephew of the homeowner, and accused him of attacking John O'Keefe as he entered the home.
What do you mean with no evidence? The kid had bloody knuckles. That's evidence of a fight. That's anybody in the chat right now. I want you right now. Is bloody knuckles an evidence of a fight? 1 for yes, 2 for no. 1 for yes, bloody knuckles, evidence of a fight. Well, 1 for yes, 2 for no.
If this guy feels that that a statement was made that wasn't true, by the way, doesn't this become a civil matter? It's not a DA coming out and making statements. I mean,
look at the chat. 1s all across the board. Like, what? Yeah, that's evidence. Bloody fucking knuckles is evidence of a fight, and everyone who's a human being knows this. I have seen knuckles put through walls. I've seen knuckles put through noses. They look the same. Bloody.
Put through noses. It sounds like it sounds
Peter
like you
Harrington,
know some people
I see you. I see you with your 69. I see what you're doing.
It sounds like you know some people that really pick their nose in some strange, extraordinary ways, Megan.
My husband has put his fist through a couple of noses. That's how I know. But it always looks the same. It always looks the same. I've seen bloody knuckles after fights because I'm from Chicago. So there's been a lot of that going on. And it looks the same. It doesn't look like when you fall on ice, you fuck up your palms. You don't fuck up your knuckles. No one thinks this. It's just stupid. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and be quiet while you play this.
Home. But phone evidence shows O'Keefe never entered the home at all. Testimony from witnesses tell us that 18-year-old Colin Albert had left his uncle's home before John O'Keefe and Karen Reed had arrived outside the residence. There was no fight inside that home. John O'Keefe did not enter the home. Colin Albert, the young man being vilified, was not present when Reed's vehicle and John O'Keefe arrived on the street. This is a false narrative. Colin Albert didn't commit murder. Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, and Brian Albert. These people were not part of a conspiracy and certainly did not commit murder or any crime that night. They have been forthcoming with authority, providing statements, and have not engaged in any cover-up. They are not suspects in any crime. They are merely witnesses in the case. To have them accused of murder is outrageous.
Merely witnesses in a case.
Well,
maybe.
He also...
Maybe they're actually, I don't know, the ones who did it. You know who this guy reminds me of? Tug, did you ever see Making a Murderer?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember Ken Kratz, who was the prosecutor
Oh,
in
yeah.
the case?
Yeah.
Who got caught sexting with defendants in other cases? Like, he's like a fucking nightmare, this guy. Like, Ken Kratz, horrible, bad prosecutor. I don't know why, but I get the Ken Kratz vibe off this guy. Like, he's going to the press, like, trying his case in the press.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Ken Kratz did. Exactly.
What's wild about this, though, he made that statement of not going into the home in 2 minutes. He made it, what, 3-4 times? Like, he just kept repeating that, and again, he's trying this already.
Okay, can I just show you a picture of Ken Kratz in this? I wish we could put him. Look at my screen. Just pull up my screen.
Let me pull it up. You ready? Right.
Yeah. Now go back to your screen. Just keep switching back and forth.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
It does.
Lord. Right?
They're like, brothers. They're brothers from another mother.
The worst prosecutor on earth. Oh, I'm sorry.
Have them harassed and intimidated based on false narratives and accusations is wrong. They are witnesses doing what our justice system asks of them. The autopsy of John O'Keefe was conducted by a forensic pathologist from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. The doctor found that the injuries that left John helpless in the cold were not a result of a fight. She further found that the line of abrasions on his arm was consistent with blunt trauma, not an animal attack. A grand jury of everyday citizens.
Fuck you. Anybody who's ever owned a German Shepherd is like, fuck you right now. I'm sorry. Fuck you. We've all had those wounds just from playing with our German Shepherds. We know what it looks like if they were to attack. Fuck you. It was not an animal attack.
He's bringing up a grand jury, too. Grand jury, like what goes before a grand jury? It's a different bar, period. Like that, you can't compare what a grand jury finds. Hey, yeah, sure. We feel like there's enough to go forward with something. They are not saying that a person is innocent or guilty. That's not what they're stating. They're just saying,
and the
yes.
grand jury only hears from the state.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no defense.
And it's closed off. Like, I mean,
it's secret. It should not even be a thing.
There shouldn't be.
I don't even know how this is legal.
That disgusts me, actually.
It's
gross. That grand juries meet behind in secret, and they discuss citizens.
And everything they discuss is off the record. You can never get a record of the grand jury and all the shit that happened behind the scenes with the state coming after you and only presenting one side of the story. Let me ask you something, people. If you are asked with only one side of one story, guilty or should we go after this person or not, of course you're going to say yes, because the defense was not offered the chance to say, hey, wait the fuck on, like it wasn't even my client was somewhere else. But you're not allowed to get that in the grand jury. The grand jury is so unconstitutional. Get rid of it. If someday someone makes me queen of this country, no grand juries.
It just amazes me. Like stuff again, secret tribunals. That's exactly what you're looking at.
It's the same thing.
It is. It is 100%. And we've actually had leaks from grand juries. So in that one MDB case, we had leaks from the grand juries and some of the stuff that they involved themselves in. A lot of this stuff it's not even going to make it to trial. A lot of stuff they bring in, they'll refine their narrative over time. So, what do you have any say? You don't have a damn say. God, I hate seeing the state go out though and put somebody on trial through statements like this. And again, you hear what he's saying. He's saying, hey, these people over here, They didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing there whatsoever. We know for a fact that this is what happened. And it's like, no, you didn't. Again, that's bypassing due process.
Heard the documented evidence and testimony before making a decision. The subject of that murder indictment enjoys the constitutional presumption of innocence. Why should the witnesses who...
Wait. So you...
Wait, what?
You have the presumption of innocence? They're putting you on trial, really. They're putting you on mini trial, deciding if they're going to move forward and come after you and you alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said. So the presumption of, yeah, but you didn't really give that to him, did you? I mean, this entire statement is about, it's the opposite.
Not
committed
in a
no
grand
crime.
jury. You don't get any presumption of innocence there because there's no defense attorney.
Right.
You're not allowed to be there. You're not allowed a representative. No, nothing.
It's wild, man.
be afforded less by members of the community. They should not be harassed for telling the government what they heard or saw. I'm asking the Canton community and everyone who feels invested in this case to hear all the actual evidence at trial before assigning guilt to people who have done nothing wrong.
Oh, stop.
And certainly before...
The chat. Brock Lichty, you can tell by all the books behind him that he's a real smart guy, right?
I like how some of the books are missing. You know.
By the way, they do this on purpose. They will put them in front of the law library on purpose, like just to look. And also, his glasses are at an angle where he has no eyeballs anymore. He's like, a cartoon character.
When did Boss Hogg become a freaking prosecutor? He's
God,
like, come on, call him Roscoe Pico Train, baby.
I love people my own age. If Gen Z is here, they're going to be like, boss who? Oh my God. So good.
Oh no, that makes Turtleboy one of the Dukes of Hazzard then, doesn't it? Oh no.
Before taking it upon yourself to harass citizens who evidence shows have done nothing in this matter but come forward and bear witness.
But lie like crazy.
We tried people in the court and not on...
They're bear witnesses. Wait, what?
They lied like crazy and you know it. You fucking know it. They got on the stand. They couldn't remember shit. They're like, I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't... What? I don't understand the question.
Don't question our narrative. I call upon the community. I call upon the community. I call on community action. Really? You know? Oh, my Lord.
On the internet for a reason. The internet has no rules of evidence.
Oh, fuck you.
The internet has no punishment.
You know, he's talking about the internet. He's talking about us right now. He's talking about YouTube, not the internet. He's talking about YouTube. Fuck you.
Do you realize in the aftermath of Amber Heard, they said, we had lawmakers that came out and said that they never want a repeat of what happened in that trial. They wanted to pass laws to keep that from happening. And these are the same kind of people that are there. You know, and you saw how these trials play out. They made the same kind of statements, but they didn't gear up and actually, again, we weren't talking about. I hate to say it,
but this is going to be the fight of the future. I'm calling it now.
They're already algorithmically silencing us.
For sure. And also, like, the more they name us in their filings as a problem, and they just make this shit up, like David Gingras, the worst lawyer on earth, does, or Ethan Shapiro from the Kowalski case, like, makes this shit up about YouTubers being a problem. This is going to be the fight of the future, you guys. We are going to have to fight for our very lives to be able to cover these cases. They're going to try and go the way of England with no cameras in the courtroom. I'm telling you, mark my words. They're going to try and take cameras out of the courtroom. The only thing we can like really hang our hats on is that court TV and Law and Crime are so big and they make so much money and they're mainstream that they won't, their lobby won't let it happen.
Yeah, but unfortunately, what they'll do, they lobby for the corporatization of coverage as well. You know, if
Yeah.
you don't go with the status quo narrative, then you don't deserve a voice, and that is not how the U.S. is supposed to operate at all. We are supposed to be able to call. You know, the U.S. We have holidays that pride disobedience against government. Like we fucking celebrate holidays for it, and yet.
Punishment for perjury, and the internet does not know all the facts. Conspiracy theories are not evidence.
Conspiracy theories. You notice they love that word, by the way. Or that wording. They love to call anything that they don't want out there a conspiracy theory.
They love calling everything conspiracy. It's all conspiracy. Everything that doesn't go with the approved narrative is a conspiracy.
Well,
The problem is that the conspiracies keep coming true. So
well, and a lot of these trials look like they are conspiracy themselves. It's like, how many hoops do I have to jump through before, you know, I get to the center of this Tootsie Roll Pop? And it's like, you know, how much stupid does it take?
That's a good throwback. I loved that commercial with Blue Owl.
Dear.
Ooh, ooh.
1, 2, 3.
This is a good commercial.
Yeah,
Damn.
This guy looks like he's bitten to the center of a few true Tootsie Roll Pops.
A few too many.
Yeah, stay off those Tootsie Roll Pops, my friend.
Lay off the cheeseburgers, sir.
I like how his eyebrows don't match up with his hair.
That is interesting, isn't it? Did the hair go white, but the
Actually, is his
eyebrows
hair real?
didn't?
Is his hair real?
His
Because
hair
if you look
looks-
on the left,
It looks real to me. The
well,
hair
look on the
looks
left though,
real.
the way the glasses fit under it though, it looks like some leg press on here on the side.
Oh, you're saying maybe it's a rug.
Yeah,
If
that's
it's
what
a rug, it's a good one. It's an expensive one if it is. But how are his eyebrows dark brown? Look, of all the men I know, when they go gray, their beard and eyebrows go first before the hair. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe
shoe
that
polishing
happens.
accident. It was a shoe polishing accident. It happens. Yeah.
Maybe he talks to his hairdresser to get that working. My dad, by the way, he's all gray. He has beautiful hair. God, beautiful hair. Just like mine, but all white, silver gray. His eyebrows are so out of control that every time I see him, I'm like, okay, it's time to get the scissors out. Like, here we go. We're going to trim these because these are crazy. I don't know what it is with old men, but Tug, watch out. When you get old,
when I
your
get to
eyebrow-
75, I'm gonna look like I have wild caterpillars crawling
Dude,
across my face. That's my
go-
aim, you know.
Go to a barber and have them
Heck
trim
no.
that shit. Okay? Because
Nuh-uh.
it's out of control. Like, they will grow out and up. It's crazy.
I'll be
It's
like, forget
crazy.
German shepherds. These eyebrows, they'll attack you. Yeah.
Attack eyebrows.
Yeah. Those caterpillars get hungry sometimes.
The idea that multiple police department, EMTs, fire personnel, the medical examiner, and prosecuting agencies are joined in or taken in by a vast conspiracy should be seen for what it is, completely contrary to the evidence and a desperate attempt to reassign guilt.
That's fascinating too, considering what we saw play out with police, in the aftermath.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Ugh, Lord.
Michael Proctor, the state police trooper, being accused of planting evidence outside 34 Fairview Road, was never at Fairview Road on the day of the incident. Proctor
So Michael Proctor's brought up here. That's interesting.
and his state police partner traveled together the entire day while other officers were processing 34 Fairview. Trooper Proctor was not
wait.
there.
Wait, go back just a little. He said he was what? Proctor was what?
Traveling the entire day with his
Proctor?
partner.
Okay, here, right there.
Here, right there.
Right there.
Okay.
Planting it, accused
Was
of-
never at
okay.
Fairview Road on the day of the incident. Proctor and his state police partner traveled together the entire day while other officers were processing 34 Fairview.
So that's what he
Okay,
said.
well, maybe other officers planted it then. I don't know. I don't know.
It's just,
But
hey,
I'm telling you that tail light wasn't shattered when she left after she hit the car. What's his name's car? John's car.
it's even worse. Okay, so we talk about accusations and false accusations and quantity over quality. So what we're told is if enough people accuse you, especially like with law enforcement, if you get enough voices behind that, then it's unimpeachable. It's unassailable. Right there. Like all these people agreed, therefore.
Trooper Proctor was not there and did not plant evidence at 34 Fairview Road.
Well, who did?
In addition to having no opportunity to plant.
Who was it?
He's like, well, he didn't. Okay.
Well, he didn't. Okay. Well, how many other officers in the Canton Police Department could have planted it? That doesn't tell me anything, sir.
I think all the answers are in the 2 books that are missing from his law library.
Why are those books missing? Damn it, Tug, that's bothering me.
It is bothering me too. I'm like, why not fill it all in?
There are 3 books missing, and those books probably have all the answers.
Yeah, that's because, those were they're too steamy to see on a public broadcast, That's a record of all the telephone searches they've done for nude pictures from other people.
They should have put a candle there or something. Like, it's just so glaringly empty. It's driving me crazy.
That's where his hairpiece normally goes. You put it up there. That's what it is. Keep it on the shelf, take it down every now and then.
And a little dummy head.
I'm gonna get a dummy head and put a fake wig on it just for my bride. If I ever do live broadcasts with myself, I'm gonna have a dummy head behind me with a fake hair on it.
When are you gonna get your VTuber thing? I want to see Tug as a VTuber. When does that happen?
I've hit up a few.
Do I need to help you?
Yeah, I need somebody to make the thing.
I'm gonna do it.
If I can find somebody to do it, I would be cool. I'll be like, I want to move around.
I want Tug as a VTuber.
I'll be like, totally. So you can watch me move around. I can do some sexy poses and stuff. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I agree. I think that would be amazing.
I'm Googling it right now. I'm gonna figure it out.
You're gonna get on the Google.
I'm going to get on the Google and figure out how to make.
Be careful not to erase that search, Megan. You never know what'll happen.
VTubing for beginners.
They'll be like, she was planning on taking Tug out with the VTuber. That's some kind of poison. It's a tuber. It's a tuber.
I'm serious. If you do a VTuber anime persona, it's going to take this channel to a whole other level. It's going to go crazy.
As long as it comes with a cigar that I can smell.
Yeah, it's going to be like a Tug.
Hey, if anybody out there knows anything about how to actually do that for real. I hit up Lofty Pixels because Lofty Pixels, uses one. I was like, dude, hook a brother up. And he's like, yeah, we will. We'll do it.
I've been asking, chat, Tug needs a VTuber avatar with a cigar.
Then I can move around. I can move around. That would be awesome.
I think it follows your movements too.
Yeah, it
so you're
does.
going to have a camera. You do have to hook up a camera.
Yeah. You'd be like, what's he doing? And, well, we'll find out now. I'll put a law library behind me.
Oh my God. Sure read Benny the Dog's super chat right now. I'm demanding that it be read right now.
Let's see.
Because I love him.
Benny the Dog. All right.
Look.
I never thought I'd like a Trumper. Lifelong liberal Democrat voter, but I like Megan. Sue me.
Sue me.
You guys great together. That's funny.
Aww,
me,
Benny
just
the Dog, you're the kind of American that I want to be friends again with. Okay? Yeah. Like you right there. He's like, I never thought I'd like a Trumper, but I like her. Like, good for you. I've never had that feeling like, oh, I don't think I could like somebody who voted for Obama. I've always been like, I get it. You're a fellow American who differs with me on some stuff. I want to be friends with you.
We differ on
Regardless.
stuff. That's what people like. I make fun of politicians and everything else. That doesn't mean I don't like politicians. It comes through like when I start reading about mental health and stuff like that. I feel like they short us no matter who they are. So a lot of us, we disagree. It's just
But
we
for
don't
sure
argue about it.
I would help you. If you were my neighbor, I'd die for you. I don't care what you think or who you vote for. I'd throw myself in front of a fucking bus for you.
If an attack eyebrow came after Megan, I would take it down. I
will take that eyebrow down.
Yeah, I'd be like, heck no, I ain't dealing with that.
This dude was after you, I'd be like, I will destroy
If dude was after
him.
you, I'd just help you swiftly walk out of his way. Maybe gingerly walk.
Not even at a run, just like a medium fast walk.
I would be like, Megan, stop dropping power pellets. I'm just keep telling you, stop it.
Oh God. The evidence, as has been suggested, Proctor would have no motive to do so. Trooper Proctor had no close personal relationship with any of the parties involved in the investigation and had no conflict.
Oh, no conflict. Fuck you.
No conflict.
Fuck you. Fuck you. No conflict. Fuck you. No conflict. He was looking for nudes of Karen Reed. He was calling her a retarded cunt. It's been long enough. It's after 2 hours. I can say that. He was calling her a retarded cunt multiple times. So many times that the defense got to make him read it over and over and over again. They're like, oh, you mean that woman you called a retarded cunt? That one? He said that she had a leaky balloon knot. I don't know if you know, but by now you should know what a balloon knot is. This man was making fun of her disability. He was making fun of her physical limitations. He was making fun. He was supposed to be the state's representative to make us all believe that they are doing a good thing, like they're going after a murderer. But no, he's looking for her nudes. Fuck him. No conflict.
Man.
And by the way, the police don't agree with this man because he's under an internal affairs investigation.
I wonder how many people looked that up, by the way. They were like, I wonder what that slang... Oh, my God, no.
Oh, my God, no.
Oh, my gross.
This poor woman has, a serious medical condition. I don't even want to talk about it, but, saying that shit about a woman you were supposed to be investigating unbiased, and you're
supposed
saying
to be a professional?
Retarded C-word? What? No, he should have been fired. I don't even think there should be an investigation. Just be like, there's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out.
What mess, all these people.
Step out of this investigation. Every suggestion to the contrary is a lie. This should be seen for what it is and not used as a pretext to attack and harass others. What is happening to the witnesses, some with no actual involvement in the case, is wrong. It is contrary to the American values of fairness and the constitutional value of a fair trial. It needs to stop.
So is this broadcast, I would say. It's contrary to the values of fairness and fair trial.
Stop now. I am releasing this recorded statement rather than holding a news conference because my remarks need to be so narrowly tailored to the issue at hand while the prosecution is pending in Superior Court.
He's telling you he knows it's a problem. He's like, I've got to narrowly tailor my commentary here because he knows that this is a real problem.
He shouldn't be doing this.
But the message is the same. What is happening to these innocent people, these witnesses, is wrong and it needs to stop.
It needs to stop. Lord.
I'll tell you what needs to stop. Prosecutors who think they should try their cases in the public before going to trial. Just fucking stop. Just stop.
I forgot I was reading Super Chat. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, is that what we were doing? Oh, Dragon's Treasure. I love him, by the way, and he should call me. I would absolutely hawk his product for him. I need
Hit
a
me up at one
promo
time.
code.
I did not. Just at the time, I didn't do any sponsors, but. Like I said, I've thought about. I don't know. I'm still on there. He could
Dragon's
tea.
Treasure tea.
I like Dragon's
Treasure.
Treasure. The person behind it. Yeah, I like
that's
that.
a good one. He is a good dude,
Yeah.
and his product is good too.
Yep. Tease Tea. Thanks for the 20 there. No tea company. They know Mellow L. Just a pun of my initials. It's a great idea. Maybe I could work out a business plan. And there you go, man.
Do it.
You know, yeah. Yeah, you wanna hawk some tea? Like, I'd be all for that.
I'll sell it.
Get some sponsorships, yeah. You know, I can make all kinds of good jokes, make a flavor. You'll be like, man, this is umbrella flavor.
My own flavors of tea. Oh my God, what would it be called?
That's what I want. I want odor of the hat rack.
Peppermint of Justice.
Peppermint. I was like odor of the hat rack, and you got to come up with something like
odor of the hat rack. Oh my God!
I want a delicious flavor called Turtle Purgatory.
Turtle Purgatory for the win.
Yeah, you got so many good ones.
Purgatory. By the way, I have 2 sets of my Legos that I've glued together and that I'm going to send to Jeremy. But I need to glue together Turtle Purgatory, so maybe I'll do a stream of gluing that together, so I can get it sent off to him.
You should. You need a tea sponsor for that too.
I need a sponsor though. Oh, Tug, always thinking. Always.
Is there a flavor? Is there a flavor of gluing your fingers together? Yeah. Oh Lord, evil ball. Thanks for the 27 months, by the way, with the different. There's the hay there, the fun times,
I'll be right
and the
back.
top hat.
I'll be right back.
Rebel Bird, thanks for the 10. This is, by the way, this is where I got the video. Appreciate that, by the way, Rebel Bird. Tug, check your email. You have a link to the video. That's where I got that from Alice Ann. By the way, thank you, too. I did want to see that. I'm glad. Like I said, yes. You know, people are like, oh, man, late to the party. You know what? That's true. I was looking at other cases. Yeah, for the way I look at cases, I can only cover so many at a time because I invest. You know, it's just like other people that were saying. Turtleboy, you know, again, covering one thing, one case, looking at that, expending a lot of effort on that. That's just the way I've always covered cases. But yeah, I do. I want to see what goes on with Turtleboy, and part of that, I guess, is looking back at, you know, to be all inclusive, looking at the case as well, everything. Elizabeth Palmer, thanks for fine. Megan Justin Root, I'll pull this back up. Brian Walsh, same cops involved. I'll pull that back up for her when she's back because it's on that. Okay, thanks for fine. I like to say my dog likes to shake hands with his teeth, but he doesn't bite. You can tell when dogs bite. It's such craziness with stuff. Becca has thoughts. Thanks for the mod there. He just lied about me. The Glare. What's up, Glare? Thanks for the 10 there. You guys should read the original. Read the original motion to dismiss filed by the defense. They go over this and say a lot of what you're saying and more. It's insane that this case went to trial. I'll have to go. Like I said, I just need to go through a bunch of documentation, you know, to sate my curiosity. Thank you, Claire, too. Good to see you, buddy.
I did read that, by the way, on my channel.
You did see that?
Yeah, I read that.
Did you see the this is about the cops, same cops involved.
Oh,
you know,
Anna Walsh? That's the same cops. I covered that case. What? Nuh-uh.
I have to look at that stuff then.
What?
You know.
I covered that case. That was the same cops?
It's strange to be like, wait a minute, wait.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's like, wait, the what again?
The
Well, it is
Anna Walsh
interesting when
case
something
was
pops up like
very
that.
bizarre, though. I mean, there wasn't any room for wiggling there. Like, he chopped her up, put her in dumpsters.
Yeah, but when you go back and look at cops and involvement, that's you never know what you find in. I'd be curious to look through.
Now I'm
I'd
going
be
to have to
curious.
go back and look because I don't know.
There's
I don't
another
like
thing.
these guys.
You never know about the disciplinary records of police officers. You never know exactly what's happened behind the scenes. You know,
And they
you
won't
don't.
give them to you either.
No.
It's not foyable.
Yeah, and in fact, when you try to push for those in a court, they're quite difficult. You know, you'll run into the quote unquote blue wall. You run into that very much. So yeah, they don't want to share any of that at all. SF, thanks for two. He's sitting on 3 books to put him in frame. That's what it was. That's why the 3 books were missing. It's like a booster seat.
That's funny.
I like that Benny the Dog again. I'm going to read that, though. Again, thanks for the vibe. I never thought I'd like a Trumper. I'm a lifelong liberal Democrat voter. But I like Megan, Sumi, and Tug, too. You guys are great together. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I love you too, Benny the dog. I love you so much.
I think, again, you know, we learned this from different trials. If we could adopt that standard. Again, you can disagree, you can argue vehemently about stuff. But at the end of the day, if we can remember that we're looking at something that's bigger than our disagreements politically or socially. We're talking about actual changes, you know, to make sure that people get justice. If we pursued that kind of stuff, I mean, I see social movement
for all. I believe in that.
Social movements break down so fast over that, you know, after trials and stuff, like the momentum, oftentimes, especially, you know, with a win, especially, how you see movements eat themselves. So with this, hopefully, any momentum that's carried, again, you can agree or disagree with what's happening on the trial, but you want justice. You want a little bit of systemic clarity. Okay, Jack, thanks for the 2. Sent you an email, image to use for line out. I'll have to check that one out, and I'll have to see what's there. And Kat, thanks 22 miles. I V2 with your hammer. Indeed, I need that hammer.
Yeah, Tug's hammer. Beat you with the fucking hammer.
Lofty would change up his outfits and stuff. Like in one, you know, he was a Superman and he would make himself fly in and out of frame. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, dude, that would be hilarious to do. So, yeah, I would have fun with that. SF, thanks for the vibe there too. Someone needs to cut this video up with the trial footage to show all the contradictions in the statement. That would be,
that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Who's got that kind of time? Anybody who wants to do that, go ahead.
Yeah, you do that. Hey, I'll show it. I'll definitely show it.
We'll watch it.
I definitely want to go through, though, everything that goes on with Turtleboy. I think that'll be, again, that stuff hits very close to home. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people, it's amazing. Even people that are naysayers, they're like, oh, I don't like this person because of whatever, rough around the edges. I saw that a bunch of times, too rough around the edges. And I'm like, you know, one day that might be aimed at you. You don't want that. But anyway, I've hit the end of Super Chats there. Do you want to add anything, man?
I don't think so. This has been fun, as usual. I'm glad I got to meet Aiden. And the Karen Reed trial is just another example of why we need to be watching these trials very carefully.
I need to play some music at the end. I think I want to do Pope
let's
Umbrella.
Do it. Yes.
Pope Umbrella. He's always
love
pretty. Yeah. You know.
Love it.
Let's see. Or maybe No, I want to do this other one. I know which one I want. I'm going to do this one. All right. Anyway, we are out.
We're out.
Stomping the floppy shoes so hard, it'll lead to class delirious. You praying to stop so much, it's like you're having a religious experience. Despite all of your denials, I know that you know me and your crew. Ask your girl the last time she phoned me. you gotta bump my song. You should copyright loser because the dictionary cloned you. Crushed so hard, now my cleats own you. It's that umbrella guy, clutching the verbal hammer, locking you down in this inescapable syllable slammer. You wanna step up and try to oppose me? Yeah, you should ask anyone that really knows me. I'll take your blame, your girl, your dog, and move in your home, only to get out the verbal flamethrower and consume your plastic gnomes. You trip, you whip, you ride, your pride consumed by this mic hitter, just to drop them on the market to the highest bidder. It's that umbrella guy, live from the hat rack, with elbows that hit so hard you'll think it's a nuclear impact. I mean respecting you, please, that's a word you'll never earn. Yet another lesson you clowns have never learned. Along with standing tall and pride and repping values that you feel, and not fake morals you found inside your happy meal. I listen to you with your speaking style education, wondering if your parents bred with their relations. Wearing your big red nose and still thinking that you're a star, while you're forced to bump that umbrella guy inside your clown car. Yeah, it's that umbrella guy, broadcasting live to the masses. Timing out full, sorry we ran out of free passes. We gotta go further and not just expose you. Listen and believe royalty, we gotta depose you. Getting masked up because this flow is criminal. Dropping hammers so hard, they're subliminal. Unconsciously